Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is story about what if Naruto is a member of the Phoenix family part 1. Before I start, please do support for more amazing content and comments for part 2. Do consider to subscribe my channel and share my video to your friends and check out the description as well. Let's start the video. The Otsutsuki clan, the ancient clan that originated from another world and traveled to the elemental nations. The war-torn land would soon have the peace that it graciously desired. The one to bring the peace would be none other than the matriarch of the Otsutsuki clan, Kagaya Otsutsuki, the rabbit goddess. Consuming the fruit of the Shinju, she became the first user of chakra, the energy that shinobi would later on incorporate for warfare. Bringing peace to the lands, the goddess would soon give birth to two sons, Hagoromo Otsutsuki and Himura Otsutsuki. The two sons would go on and try to bring peace among the people in their own way. Hagoromo would go on to teach the civilians the ways of Nishu in hopes of bringing peace. Himura would succeed his mother and become the new clan head and ruled the clan as the patriarch and moved the clan to the moon. Kagaya, due to being the one that ate the fruit, her life was extended to an extent in which it was as if she was immortal. Kagaya had sealed herself off. The decision Hagoromo made angered her, and the rabbit goddess after witnessing the aftermath of her foolish son's decision. The humans forgot his teachings and soon used the power of chakra for war. Her nursery had been ruined. Himura Otsutsuki had passed on with his teachings, which would soon become the celestial decree. Passing on, misinterpretation of the decree ignited a civil war between the clan, and without knowledge of the matriarch of the clan's location, they fought. When Kagaya awoke from her sealed state, she arrived to a battle between the last of the main family and the branch family. Stopping the battle, the goddess enraged demanded the leaders of the families to stand before her. Demanding answers, her Byakugan activated and the veins surrounding her two eyes added to the intimidating effect. Both heads gave her their respective answers and her rage was driven further. Her people were fighting because of her son's foolish decree. It was time for them to leave this cursed land. Her people suffered, they fought among themselves for the betterment of those mindless savages. It was time they returned home. Kagaya ordered her people to prepare for travel once more. It was time they returned to their world. Kagaya moved to the bottom of the castle that her people had moved the transportation machine. The walls shone with seals as they opened up and the machine was visible. Making her way to the machine, the lights flashed on and soon the entire room was illuminated. Power coursed through the machine as a portal soon opened up and Kagaya looked at it for a few seconds before making her way towards the portal and soon she disappeared. The clan had instructions to follow her back home, and they would rise up in power once more. Kagaya was sitting in the clan compound located in Japan. It had been a few years since they had moved back and now the Otsutsuki clan was the most influential family in all of Japan, and to blend in with the new era, Kagaya had established the Otsutsuki Industries. Otsutsuki Industries quickly became one of the most influential company in the world with amazing new advances in technology and medicine. It was amazing what chakra could be used for. But the fact that she created a company for her clan was simply for the family to gain some money. The Otsutsuki clan did not have much from before, but now with chakra in their bodies they could now stand at the top of their group. The Otsutsuki clan were a group of half-demons, though they do not know which demon their other half was. They now possessed one of the greatest powers that the other world could offer. Chakra. With chakra they could access senjutsu and utilize their magic with the chakra, then they would no longer be at the bottom of the food chain. Kagaya was very happy with the results as she gave birth to another son. This one she swore to herself that she would mold him into the perfect clan head. The name of her third child was Naruto. Though it had two meanings, one was the topping for ramen known as Naruto or fish cake, and lastly the true meaning of the name. Maelstrom, a storm that would cause chaos and destruction in its wake. Her son would be that. He would be the one to cause destruction to the enemies of the clan. For her plan to work, she began the young Otsutsuki's training once he began reading. By giving the boy knowledge and literature, she was able to begin the boy's training in the art of sealing as soon as possible. Fuinjutsu was one of the greatest things they had created for combat, as they were not as powerful as some demons. But with chakra they were able to take it to the next level. The art of sealing was the rite of passage for all members of the clan. The training of her third son reached new heights as the boy worked on strengthening his body and working in the art of sealing. The boy was intelligent for his age, oh yes, when it came to seals he was a prodigy like no other. But when it came to academics, he lacked the drive to learn such things as he dubbed it as useless. Though he still managed to learn the necessary subjects in the world's educational system for him to attend high school. That was not all he had taught the blonde. Kagaya desired her child to become one of the strongest, able to stand up to the other factions. This she chose to train her child how to utilize chakra. The new source of power for the entire Otsutsuki clan. They had not been able to wield it before, but now with the fruit eaten the amazing powers were passed evenly among the clan. In the use of chakra, the heir to the Otsutsuki clan was taught all the mother knew and the knowledge the entire clan had acquired from the other world. Due to her son's foolishness, the humans were able to change the use of Nishu to ninjutsu. They had changed the idea of chakra into one of war, and so they began developing ways to kill one and another. Though not good for their end, the Otsutsuki clan benefited from the humans' idiotic actions, and due to that they had expanded their knowledge of combat and warfare to new levels. With that, they were able to create new techniques and improve weaker ones the shinobi of the human world created. The ways of warfare flourished alongside the humans as they utilized the gift of peace and turned it a weapon for warfare. Ironic, her son was truly foolish to believe they were able to be contained by simply beliefs. Kaguya knew her son was too trusting, and thus the humans took her son's good intentions and turned it around. The Otsutsuki clan now held power among the Yokai. With the new source of power, their influence and position among the Yokai skyrocketed and now were just about or were more influential than Yasaka herself. Kaguya held more power than the nine-tailed fox that she could easily destroy her with a single technique. The newly gained powers from the fruit had made Kaguya one of the strongest beings in existence. Or maybe the strongest. Her powers could destroy worlds and recreate them just as fast, and along with creation and destruction, she could kill immortals, or claimed she could. The power of one of her most prized techniques, the truth-seeking balls, allowed her to destroy anything those spheres touched and turn it to ash. The new range of powers that she held now made her one of the most feared individuals in the entire world. The other factions took notice to the amount of power a single Yokai clan now held and began planning to deal with them. But they questioned if they could. The power that woman displayed by simply transporting some of the braver members of the three factions into a completely different dimension and destroying it with her massive truth-seeking balls. The sheer power she displayed struck fear into every faction, and thus they did what anything would do. The factions all did what anyone would. They tried to befriend the goddess. Not that it worked, but her son was another problem. The best way to befriend the powerful clan. Naruto, Otsutsuki, heir to the Otsutsuki clan and son of Kaguya Otsutsuki, the rabbit goddess, now turned the age of 17. The clan heir had sun-kissed spiky blonde hair and two side bangs that framed his face. His hair matched his ocean blue eyes well, but the most prominent feature was the boy's whisker marks on his face. The blonde was tall for his age, and he was dressed in a simple high-collared kimono with the Otsutsuki clan symbol on the back and a pair of loose black pants, and to complete the outfit was a pair of boots. Naruto continued to wait for his mother to arrive as he looked around the room for anything to kill the time with. But before he could even think of something, the sliding doors opened and a beautiful woman walked into the room. The woman had pale skin and long white hair that reached down to her waist, with a pair of lavender eyes, and the most shocking feature she possessed was the pair of horns on top of her head. This was none other than Kaguya Otsutsuki, the matriarch of the clan and one of the most powerful beings in existence. And also his mother. Sitting down, the woman looked over at the blonde with a calculative gaze before she opened her mouth to speak. Naruto-kun, I believe it is time for you to make some contact with the other factions, Kaguya said as she continued to look at the blonde for a reaction. But why, Ka-chan, do I have to meet the other factions? Naruto questioned as he gave his mother a questioning look. I met the Yokai faction, isn't that enough? No. The Yokai are not considered a faction as there are only 3. Kaguya explained as she never removed her gaze from her youngest child. You will be attending a school that is being run by devils. Make contact with them and see how powerful this generation of devils are. Understood, Ka-chan, Naruto said in defeat as he began making his way out of the room before he stopped and turned to face his mother with a grin on his face. Ka-chan, if I'm going to school, then can I? No. You didn't even let me finish, Ka-chan. Your lunch will not be ramen. Naruto just grumbled as he made his way out of the room and walked towards his own room. He was going to change for the new school. Going in a kimono would just attract unwanted attention from the people there. Passing some other clan members, they bowed in respect as Naruto greeted them in kind, but he was still bummed out about attending school. Academics and him did not get along as he despised learning with a passion, as he hated sitting still and listening to a man lecture them about a subject. He refused to, but if he did, his mother would be unhappy. And if his mother was unhappy, his life would not be a happy one. So he decided to endure it and go to school anyways. He could just study with shadow clones if he was stuck on something. That technique the shinobi from the other world created was amazing. It could do so much for him. The uniform for the school was acceptable, but no orange in any of it, so it was a complete downside. His outfit now consisted of a black blazer with white accents over a white, long-sleeved dress shirt with a ribbon on the collar, matching black pants and brown dress shoes. Grumbling the entire time, the blonde walked out of the clan compound with a servant following closely behind, holding his bag filled with the necessary books and other materials for school. Grabbing it from him as he got into the waiting car, the blonde motioned for the car to go, and the driver did as instructed and began driving to the destination given to him. The car ride was short as it did not take over 10 minutes. As they were driving around the streets of Ko City, they had passed some students who were looking at the car curiously as it moved towards the direction of the school. Arriving at Ko Academy, the car had already attracted some attention as the driver hurried out of the car and opened the door for the blonde passenger. Walking outside with his bag in hand, the blonde looked at the school that he would be attending. It wasn't a very impressive building as he had seen better, but it was an above-average school. That was all he would be saying about it. Making his way forward and ignoring the looks of curiosity from the other students, he walked past all of the students and headed towards the main building. Though he ignored the things that they spoke were easily picked up by him. Naruto kept moving and headed inside the office. His destination was his first class. Naruto knew that his actions reflected upon the clan itself. That was one of the reasons why he had to show the students and staff that he was among the higher class. After all, that was what his clan was classified as, one of the most powerful families in all of Japan, and having major influence in the other countries was some major power. He did not wish to make a fool of himself and have the clan be affected by that, nor did he wish for his mother to lose face. That would not end well for him. Knocking on the door, he opened it up and poked his head in. As the teacher caught sight of him, his eyes widened slightly, remembering something. The teacher pushed up his glasses and reached down to the paper on his desk as he read something off of it, and beckoned him in. Walking in, Naruto stood facing the entire class with a slight smile on his face as all eyes were on him. "Class, please let me introduce you to our new student, Naruto Otsutsuki. Treat him well," the teacher announced as he beckoned for him to introduce himself. Naruto nodded at the gesture and turned his attention to the class once more. His slight smile turned into an actual one. "Hello, I am Naruto Otsutsuki. It is very nice to meet you all." Naruto began as he continued to smile and took a slight bow before speaking once more. "Please take care of me, everyone. He's so handsome. Those whisker marks are so cute. Damn, not another blonde bastard. Now how am I supposed to get a harem now? Pretty boys are popping up out of nowhere." Naruto continued to smile pleasantly as he heard the reactions from various students. It was really enjoyable to hear. He really needed to spend more time with mortals. They were really entertaining. That, or he needed to find another hobby instead of spending all of his time training. It was hard not to train though. He wanted to reach his mother's level. That would take a while. He knew his mother was the one who taught him the various techniques, and he did spend a good portion of his life in the other world. The elemental nations helped him improve and grow. His control and use of chakra reached a new level there. There he was able to tap in senjutsu, one of powerful forms of magic that Yokai could access. That was one of the abilities he had inherited from his mother. Not only that, but he was able to negate the effect of senjutsu's use, the possible loss of control. By becoming one with nature through a different means other than magic, he replaced it with chakra. It was amazing how powerful he became in the form. Though he was not able to stand up to his mother, he was still powerful enough to handle himself in the world of dragons. "Naruto-san, please take a seat by Issei-san," the teacher directed as he pointed to the boy sitting near the front by a few of his friends. The boy had short brown hair and light brown eyes, around average height for a 17-year-old. He wore the uniform, but he kept the dress shirt open and he wore a red t-shirt underneath, and instead of the brown dress shoes he replaced them with a pair of white and blue sneakers. Naruto complied as he made his way towards the boy and sat beside him. Noticing that he was being stared at by Issei and the other two that sat around the general area, he decided it would be best to introduce himself. "How do you do, Issei-san?" Naruto asked with a smile as he offered a hand to the brunette, who seemed to be conflicted but took the hand nonetheless. "It's so hard to hate him," Issei cried as he turned the other direction facing his two friends, and tears ran down his face. Seeing the blonde give another friendly smile, he cried harder. "He's just like Kiba," Issei thought. Rias Gremory, the daughter of Lord Gremory and Venelana Gremory, former Baal heiress to the Gremory clan and an high-class devil, she was part of one of the clans that treated her peerage members as family, though it was a frowned-upon way of thinking. They were renowned for it. Rias was a beautiful young woman with white skin, blue eyes and a buxom figure. Her most distinctive feature was her long, beautiful crimson hair that reached down to her thighs. A single strand stuck out from the top, and loose bangs covering her forehead and side bangs framing her face. She was sitting in the student council room playing a match of chess with her childhood friend, Sona Citri. Sona had the appearance of a young bespectacled woman in her late teens with a slim figure, and her black hair styled in a bob cut. The two enjoyed competing against each other, so playing games was the best for now, as they could hardly do any raiding games. Rias moved her queen as she turned to look at her childhood friend. "Sona, what do you think about the new student?" Rias asked as she continued looking at her friend and waited for her to answer. "Naruto Otsutsuki, heir to the Otsutsuki clan, son of Kagaya Otsutsuki, one of the most powerful beings in existence. Feared among all three of the factions and is well known for his use of the special energy that the Otsutsuki clan possess, chakra," Sona replied as she moved one of her pieces and waited for her rival and friend to take her turn. During the entire she did not even look up from the chessboard. "Have you sent the information of Naruto-sen attending our school to Serafal-sama yet?" Rias asked as she thought out her next move. "Yes, I have sent a letter to One-sama, She was frantic when she heard the son of the rabbit goddess was attending Kuo. Sona said with her face blank. Oni-sama reacted the same way. He was about to send Grafia over to watch over me. Rias chuckled slightly. Rias, Naruto Otsutsuki is no joke. If he is anything like his mother, then he could easily destroy us with a snap of his fingers. Sona warned her rival as she took her eyes off of the board and looked over at the red head. I know Sona, but I can't help but think that if I can somehow get him to either join my peerage or maybe help me in some way. Rias replied with a sigh as she leaned back and had a frown form on her delicate face. I do not wish to marry Riser and I will get out of the marriage. That is foolish, Rias. The Otsutsuki clan is one clan that we do not involve ourselves with unless we desire death. They have the power to destroy the devil faction, and even if we do not cause such a situation in which they desire to destroy the devil race, we will not be spared from the 72 pillars. Sona said with a grim look on her face. It was true. The Otsutsuki clan now held the most power as they were led by one of the most powerful, if not the most powerful being in existence, and their clan all had the ability of using Jujutsu, and a new form of energy they have not faced before, chakra. Do you think they could do it? Rias asked out of curiosity. Yes, from what Oni-sama said, they witnessed Kaguya Otsutsuki transport them into another world and destroy it with a sphere of darkness that turned everything to ash. Sona informed as she leaned back as well. They are a powerful clan, Rias. It is best we befriend them. If we do not, then if they turn on us we will face near extinction. Then I guess I'll have to train Issei-kun and the rest of my peerage for the upcoming raiding game then. Rias said in defeat, though she wanted Naruto Otsutsuki to be in her peerage. The power that Sona told her that he and his clan possessed left an unsettling feeling in her. That clan had enough power to wipe out an entire faction with ease, as seen from the demonstration of power from the current head of the clan. It was truly shocking that one single clan possessed so much power. The clouds were something Naruto enjoyed watching as it allowed him to think about issues in life he faced. Though it was boring at first when he had tried it with one of his friends in the elemental nations, he quickly realized why his friend did it. With that knowledge in mind, he too used it as a way to think, and to speak the truth, it worked. He was able to relax and think clearly, one of the things he could hardly do with others around or when he was doing any other activity. The current issue he was thinking of was about a promise he had made to his childhood friend. When he was younger, his mother had gotten him the best tutors that money could buy to help him in academics. While he worked in academics in the evening, he was taught by his mother herself in the ways that chakra could be used for. Learning ways to utilize the energy within his body. During this time they had a discovery that pleased Kaguya. Due to the intense training from his mother, he discovered his affinities, as they called it. Fire, water, wind, earth, lightning, yin, yang and yin yang. With those affinities, he would be able to create life and destroy it in an instant, much like his mother. His childhood friend was someone he had met a while ago when his mother had decided to make some connections with some of the other gods and maybe some Buddhas. Her mother had decided to meet with the Norse gods, her meeting with Odin, the chief deity of the Norse gods. During that meeting, Naruto had escaped from the sight of his caretaker and explored around the realm of Asgard. There he had met a young girl around his age by the name of Rosweiss. The girl had hair that resembled his mother's very much. Though she had hair like his mother's, she was odd for a girl so young to be so serious. Their personalities clashed and it was not pretty, though in the end they had made up. Naruto still thought of her being too serious, and the girl in return thought of him as too carefree and laid back. But they got past it, and soon they hit it off as friends, with Naruto persuading her into doing some unfavorable actions such as doing pranks. Though she strongly disagreed with the blonde's actions, she could not help but enjoy herself during the time she spent doing pranks with the blonde Otsutsuki. But all good things came to an end, and on the final day they had spent most of the day with each other. In the end they had promised to see each other once again, though Naruto had little time to head to Asgard as he had no business with them. He could persuade his mother to meet with Odin once more, but due to the other god's rather perverted side, she avoided that of all places. When the meetings came to an end, Odin seemed to sport bruises and lumps all over his body from unknown sources, but Naruto had the feeling it was his mother's actions. Then again it was the perverted god's fault for ogling his mother. It ended pretty badly for him. Naruto sat on the Victorian-style couch as he looked at the people around him. He was in a wood-paneled room with Victorian-style furniture, and a large bath in the side of the room, and the Gremry family symbol in the side of the room as well. He had arrived at the old building that the Occult Research Club used as a club room, and he was surprised that one of the smallest clubs could use the building further from the main school as a club room. The building was a 3-story tall building with the 3rd story serving as a clock tower. It was painted white with black tiles and vines creeping around the side. Around him were Rias Gremry's peerage members. He had gotten an invitation to meet with the club a little while back and decided why not. It was something that his mother desired him to do. The number of people surrounding him totaled in 6, with one of them being Rias herself. Akino Himejima, the queen of the peerage, had the appearance of a young woman with a buxom figure around the same age as Rias, with long straight black hair tied in a long ponytail, and violet eyes. Her ponytail reached down to her legs with two strands sticking out from the top and sloping backwards, with the orange ribbon holding it in place. She wore the Academy girls' uniform, but she had knee-high socks with the uniform as well. She was one of the two great ladies of Academy, a title she shared with Rias. Kaneko Tuju, one of Rias's rooks, was around the age of 15 with white hair and hazel eyes. The front of her hair has two long bangs going past her shoulders and several loose bangs hanging over her forehead, while the back of her head had a bob cut. And on her hair she wore two cat-shafted hair clips on both sides. Like the other girls, she wore the girl's uniform but without the cape. Though she didn't say it, he knew she was a Nikomata, one of the rarest species of Yokai in the world, and that struck his curiosity on how a girl like Rias could have one in her peerage. And in the school she was known as the mascot, odd but it fit in his opinion. Asia Argento, one of Rias's bishop around Issei's age with blonde hair and green eyes. Her blonde hair flowed down to her back with split bangs over her forehead and a single strand sticking out from the top, sloping backwards. She, like Kaneko, wore the girl's uniform as well. Yodo Kiba, the knight of Rias Gremory. He was a handsome young man with short blonde hair, gray eyes and a mole under his left eye. Kiba wore the boy's uniform that Naruto was wearing. He had made no changes to the attire. He was titled as the Prince of Ko, but with Naruto's arrival he was dubbed as one of the two princes now. It was odd how fast titles and such were spread around, in a school no less. Issei Hayato, the only pawn of Rias Gremory and the current possessor of the boosted gear. Issei was around the age of 17 with short brown hair and light brown eyes and standing at average height. He wore the boy's uniform, though the dress shirt was unbuttoned and his red t-shirt could be seen. Though he was surprised slightly that Rias had the Red Dragon Emperor in her peerage, he did not spare him another glace, as he was dubbed as the weakest one in history. Welcome to the Occult Research Club, Naruto-san. Rias greeted as she gave the blonde a smile, in which he returned. Sona would be here to greet you as well, but she had issues to attend to. Oh, no worries. Now I must ask why I am here. Naruto questioned as he took a sip of the tea that Akino had placed before him. He worried little of poison, as it had no effect on him due to his body's amazing healing abilities. I am going to be blunt here, Naruto-san, but why are you here? Rias questioned with a polite smile on her face, but Naruto could tell that the girl was nervous from the slight shift of movement when he had questioned her from before. She decided to elaborate, though she highly doubted that it was needed. It is rather strange the heir to the most powerful clan is attending a school in my territory. Well, you see. Naruto began as he took another sip, and a small smile formed on his face. Ka-chan wanted me to have more experience with the three factions, so here I am, in a school run by devils. And also Ka-chan won't be able to stop me from eating ramen here. I see. Rias muttered as her mind began forming some sort of way of asking the blonde before her for help in her predicament. Though she did wonder about the ramen part, she ignored it in favor of her previous thoughts. Akino, what is Naruto-san doing here? Issei asked as he leaned closer to the vice president of the club. He was trying to ask without alerting the blonde. And how does he know we are devils? Issei-kun, Naruto-sama is part of a powerful clan. Akino began explaining as she whispered to the perverted teen. His mother is also one of the most powerful beings in the world. Issei-kun, Naruto-sama has enough influence to kill us without any consequences, so please treat him with respect. The words shocked Issei to the core as he looked at the blonde who was sipping tea with wide eyes. The teen before him, who he thought as a pretty boy had that much power and influence that he could simply kill off someone such as Rias without consequences, was shocking to say the least. Though he had a perverted mind, he was no fool. The room suddenly lighted up with a light, and a magic circle appeared, and soon in a flash of light a group of people appeared. The group was filled with all women except for the person in front, who was a handsome young man in his early 20s with short blonde hair and blue eyes. He wore an outfit consisting of a burgundy blazer with gold embroidery on the right with matching pants, and black dress shoes. Under the blazer was a white dress shirt not fully buttoned, giving view of his chest. The man was none other than Riser Phoenix himself, third son of Lord Phoenix and Rias Gremory's fiancé. Not long after, another magic circle appeared, this time in red, and a single figure appeared. It was a beautiful woman appearing in her 20s with silver hair and matching eyes. Her hair, which flowed all the way down to her back, featured a long braid on both sides with small blue bows at the ends, while the rest is let down and ending in twin braids. She wore an outfit of a blue and white French-made outfit with long sleeves and a white-made headband over her head, with red lipstick on her lips. This was Graphia Lucifuge, the queen and wife of Sirzex Lucifer. Rias, how good it is to see you again. Riser spoke in a loud and arrogant tone as he spread his arms wide open as he approached her. He noticed the blonde sitting in the opposite seat of his fiancée and looked at him with the same arrogant look that he wore around. And who might you be? Naruto did not answer right away as he drank a bit more of the tea and placed the cup down and gave a small sigh and turned to Akino with a smile on his face. Akino-san, thank you for the tea, it was a pleasant refreshment. Akino took a small bow and spoke, thank you Naruto-sama. How dare you ignore me? Riser screamed in utter rage at the seated blonde. What hurt his pride more was that the blonde before him had a above-average pool of magic in him, so it was most likely one of Rias's new peerage members, and yet he dared to insult him. Do you know who I am, you reincarnated scum? I am Riser Phoenix, third son of Lord Phoenix. You should be honored that I even spoke to you. You do not interest me, please refrain from speaking to your betters in such a tone, Naruto said with an annoyed look on his face as he turned to face the other blonde in the room. One type of person he hated the most were arrogant people. It is better for dogs to know when to bark and when to keep their mouths shut. After all, dogs who follow the master's commands do live longer. Riser-sama, control yourself. Graphia intruded as she tried to calm down the phoenix before he did something foolish. Naruto-sama, in Surzek-sama's honor, please do not provoke Riser-sama any longer. Very well then, Naruto replied finally as his face now sported a pleasant smile on his face. Riser bit his tongue as he saw Graphia send a glare in his direction. Though he did not wish to take the insult silently, he did not want to anger the strongest queen either. Riser could not think correctly as his mind was filled with rage. Oh, did he wish to attack the blonde, but it would be disastrous if he did. Though he knew little of who the blonde was, he did not care. He was a member of the Phoenix family, one of the 72 pillars of the underworld, and he would have his revenge on the blonde. Naruto-sama, I did not expect you to be here, but as of now it is a meeting between the Gremory and Phoenix families. Graphia spoke calmly. The marriage between Rias-sama and Riser-sama must be set. Ah, I see, I am unwanted here, Naruto responded as he sat up and made his way towards the doors leading to the halls of the building before he stopped and looked at Riser. Dog, the next time we meet I expect you to learn who your betters are. It is only right that the weak shall bow before the strong, is it not? Are you calling me weak? Riser hissed, his eyes narrowed and full of rage as his peerage gathered around him and readied their weapons and magic. I am. Yes, I know of your family, Naruto replied dismissively without even batting an eyelash, but I am surprised that weaklings such as yourself may spawn in such a clan. You better watch yourself, Riser said as he sent a glare at the other blonde. I don't care who you are, but no one insults Riser Phoenix and gets away with it. You devils throw around your name like it means something, how arrogant. Naruto chuckled as he turned to leave the room, but Riser simply lost himself to rage and sent a wave of fire towards the blonde. Riser-sama, no! Graphia yelled in horror as she saw the fire consume the other blonde. She did not fear the fire would harm Naruto, she just feared the consequences of such action against the Otsutsuki heir, no less. The fire vanished from Naruto, and he did not seem to be hurt in the slightest. The blonde did not even seem to be bothered from the attack. After all, it was his intention for Riser to lose himself and attack him. He saw a chance and took it for the betterment of the clan. By provoking the arrogant and egoistic Phoenix, he hoped to be attacked by High, and he did. Now with the political power he held against Riser for the attack, he now gained a resource for the clan. Naruto vanished in a flurry of sakura petals, leaving behind a group of shocked devils. Naruto sat with his mother at the clan compound. The two sat side by side with smiles on their faces. Kaguya was very proud. Her son had done what she desired. Her son truly made her proud, the fact that her son was able to get a leverage on the devil faction and one of the 72 pillars, no less. Now with the leverage they would be able to gain a bargaining chip for later when they would be in need of it. Teaching her son manipulation was a smart idea. The benefits would be great for the clan. Though the clan was powerful, they were low on numbers. But then again, they believed in quality over quantity. Kaguya drank from the cup of tea that the servants had prepared, and she looked at the garden in the compound. Naruto himself drank from his own cup of tea and followed his mother's gaze and looked at the garden. It was a beautiful sight. It was a traditional Japanese rock garden. The large rocks were like miniature mountains, and the other rock formations represented the dry landscape well. Naruto-kun, you have indeed put the lessons to good use, my son, Kaguya said with a pleased tone as she drank once more and flashed her son a slight smile. With this we can milk the devil faction of resources, and with this leverage the power we hold will be very useful. Thank you, Ka-chan. The Phoenix dog was foolish enough to allow his rage and ignorance cloud his judgment. Naruto replied with a chuckle as he took a sip once more and a smirk formed on his lips. Ka-chan, how much money do you think a phoenix is worth? I do not know, Kaguya responded with a smirk appearing on her beautiful face. But I do wonder how the Phoenix family will react when the Otsutsuki family declares war for the attack on my beloved son. If they do not pay compensation. That will be an enjoyable sight, Ka-chan. Naruto chuckled as he thought about the future meeting with the devil faction and the Phoenix family. Naruto-kun, we will call for a meeting with the devil faction soon enough. Kaguya began as her lavender eyes narrowed as she thought about the devils, and I wish for you to give them a show. It will be the perfect time to demonstrate the power we possess. Be prepared for a little show and tell my dear child. Now may I ask, how powerful is the next generation? Of course, Ka-chan. Naruto replied as he thought about the question. I would say they are weak. They do not spend time training other than trying to find more members of their peerage other than training themselves and what they have. Gremory is the best example of that as she focuses solely on finding help against Riser other than training her and her peerage. Citri has a more tactical way of thinking as she is sharper than Gremory, but she and her peerage do not hold power to support the tactical mind of hers. Devils, always trying to get what they desire through any means. Kaguya said in a neutral tone, truly a selfish race indeed. Ka-chan, about the leverage we hold. Naruto began as he waited for his mother's reaction. Seeing her give him a look and beckoning for him to go on, he spoke. I believe it would be best if we expanded our territory. How so, my son? As you know, the devils command Ko Town and the academy itself. They also share a good portion of Japan. I decided it would be best to take command the country itself for the Yokai. The devils have their own little world and the angels their city in the clouds. But we have nothing, so it would be best if we take control of the area. And more importantly, the Otsutsuki gains more land. Very well then, I shall allow you to take command of the reign in these negotiations with the devils. Thank you, Ka-chan, I will make you proud. You already have. What have you done? The voice belonging to none other than Lord Phoenix boomed across the empty room as he shouted in utter rage at his son. Do you know what you have done? You attacked an Otsutsuki. The heir no less. Do you know what could happen to us? Even if the Otsutsuki clan do not take action, the 72 pillars will. Father Riser began trying to desperately come up with a plausible excuse for his actions, but he found only one. The Lord Phoenix would not even allow him to speak. Quiet! Lord Phoenix demanded, his voice getting louder and louder as the seconds dragged on. You will go before the Otsutsuki clan and apologize for your foolish actions. Beg for forgiveness and offer anything. I understand, Father. Riser replied, his tone filled with a mixture of fear and hatred. How could he not? The blonde bastard had provoked him into attacking him, and now because of him his family was going to suffer for it. Now he had to go before the Otsutsuki clan and beg for forgiveness. The rage in him burned brighter as he stormed out of the room. You will pay for this, Naruto Otsutsuki. Riser thought in rage as he swore to himself he would make the trash pay for what he had done. Naruto was taking a walk in Kyoto, the area where his home, the Otsutsuki clan compound, was situated. Kyoto served as the main base of all the Yokai in Japan, though there was one leader of the entire group, his clan, and their opinion was highly influential. Not only did they hold power over the entire group but also a majority of the supernatural groups as well. The power to kill immortality was something everyone feared, and the only clan that seemed to possess such power was the Otsutsuki clan, not to mention their amazing abilities with seals. If killing did not work, they always could resort to sealing. Yasaka, the acting leader of the Yokai group, was situated in Kyoto with her daughter Kunu, who like herself was a nine-tailed fox as well. Though they were powerful, they did not hold a candle against either Kaguya or a good portion of the elders in the clan. Naruto himself was above her reach as he was personally taught by the rabbit goddess herself, and with help from her and teachings from the other world, Yasaka's power was dwarfed by Naruto's easily. Naruto-sama. One of the passing Yokai greeted as he bowed in respect. The monkey Yokai was human-like monkey with fur and that led down to his palms, and in other various areas. He was like any other monkey Yokai in appearance, dressed in traditional white Chinese robes, and his hair was tied up and held up high with a head accessory and held up by a needle. The outfit complete by black boots. Good to see you, Wu. Naruto responded with a wave as he gave the monkey Yokai a smile and wave. Wu, is Ho around? Of course, Naruto-sama. Ho-sama is waiting for you. Wu replied as he pointed in the direction of the tea house. Thank you, Wu. Naruto replied simply. Of course, Naruto-sama. Wu bowed once more. Naruto walked towards the tea house and entered the building quickly. He was greeted along the way, but Naruto immediately looked for Ho. Spying the monkey Yokai dressed in traditional royal purple Chinese robes with a more elaborate Chinese head ornament keeping his hair up. Like Wu, he had various hair all over his body and a toothy grin on his face as he saw the blonde approaching. Getting up, he went to greet Naruto with arms open and the grin still on his face. Naruto! It's great to see you! Ho greeted as he hugged the young Otsutsuki before him. It has been too long, old friend. It is great to see you as well, Ho. Naruto responded in kind with a smile on his face as well as he returned the hug with the monkey Yokai. Yes, it has. How have you been? Great. Ha ha ha, come my friend. Ho said happily as he offered a seat to the blonde. You have to tell me, how was Kyoto when I left? It was amazing. Without you I would have to say it was the best time ever. Naruto joked with a smile on his face. Seeing Ho roll his eyes with a pleasant smile on his face, all jokes aside, it was no fun without you around. By the way, why a tea house in the first place? I was thirsty. Arriving at the temple which served as the headquarters of the Yokai group in Japan, Naruto entered with Ho by his side. The guards bowed in respect and allowed them in. Naruto headed in the direction of Yasaka's office. He was going to speak to her about the meeting with the devil faction. Though he was not required to speak to her about anything about the meeting, speaking to her about it would be better for them as she could add more to the intimidating effect and provide extra influence. The more power they had behind them, the more outrageous claims they could make and force the devil faction to do just as outrageous things. It would be more beneficial to both of them if they worked together in this situation. By no means were they enemies, but Naruto and the rest of the clan Kagaya included did not accept her ruling due to their pride. They would not accept anyone weaker than them to rule over them. It was foolish and unacceptable in the entire clan's eyes. Knocking on the door, Naruto waited for Yasaka to answer. Hearing it come in from the other side, Naruto opened the door and walked in. Ho followed closely as he and the blonde into the room. As the two entered, Yasaka looked up at them with a friendly smile and gestured to the seats before her desk. The two both sat down and got a bit comfortable in the seats. Yasaka had two forms. Currently she was in her human form. She was a young woman with a voluptuous figure and golden blonde hair with matching eyes. Her outfit was a shrine maiden's attire. So Naruto-kun, Ho-kun, what can I do for you? Yasaka asked with the smile still on her face. Of course, Yasaka-chan, I am here to inform you about the meeting with the devil faction. Naruto answered with a smile on his face as well, and because of that I am asking you to attend. Oh, why Naruto-kun? Yasaka asked with her eyebrows raised and curiosity laced in her voice. As you know, Yasaka-chan, the Otsutsuki family is a part of the Yokai branch in Kyoto. Naruto began as the smile on his face turned into a smirk. Though we do not agree with you being the leader of the branch, we still wish for the best for the Yokai in the area, and we can gain more from the devil faction if you come along. Yasaka pondered on the offer for a little longer before a smile once more formed in her beautiful face. Naruto-kun, of course I will accompany you to the meeting. Once information was exchanged, Naruto and Ho left right after leaving Yasaka to her work. As they were walking out of the room and heading towards the district ran by the Yokai once more, Ho stopped suddenly, prompting Naruto to stop as well and looked at his friend with a confused look. Naruto followed Ho's gaze and saw that he was looking at the hot springs. Two rather attractive young women with large assets walked into the springs while giggling about something. The confused expression Naruto wore shifted to a dull one as he continued to look at the hot spring. Naruto, who do you think is in the hot springs right now? Ho asked with a perverted grin on his face as he began walking towards it at a moderately slow pace. That perverted habit of yours is still there, I see. Naruto commented dryly as he watched his best friend walk towards the hot springs with the perverted grin still on his face and his intentions quite obvious. You know they added more security on the woman's side, right? Do not worry, my friend. Nothing shall get in my way. I shall surpass all that gets between me and the heavenly view on the other side. Ho announced with his eyes burning with passion and his face adopting a determined expression. I wish you were that passionate about something else other than peeking on women. Naruto sighed as he watched his friend continue further into the hot springs and sneaking into the building. Looking around the area where he stood, he spotted a shop that sold dango and decided to get some. Though Kyoto lacked good ramen shops, they did have amazing dango. Purchasing a few sticks from the owner, Naruto walked back to the front of the hot springs and waited. Soon enough, a figure was thrown out of the building and landed a few feet away from him. The figure who was thrown out was none other than Ho. He now sported multiple bumps on his head and his body was bruised in multiple areas and a trail of blood leaked from his nose. Bruises decorated his face as well. Serves you right, perverted monkey, Naruto said with a blank look on his face as he began walking away from his damaged friend. But the sight was heavenly! Ho exclaimed as he jumped up from the ground. All the damage he had received from the earlier incident vanished as he wrapped an arm around the blonde and stole the dango stick he held. You would know if you peeked with me. Sometimes I wonder if you have a healing factor, Naruto commented as his face adopted an annoyed look as Ho ate the stolen dango stick. Grabbing another one out, he took a bite and looked over at his best friend. And no, I will never peek as I am not a pervert. Of course. The sight of any woman undressed will heal any injured pervert, Ho announced as he pointed the dango stick in front of him and struck a pose. Right, Naruto said as he walked past Ho and continued forward. Fear. It was amazing what a single emotion could do to the best of people. Once fear was present, the true nature of a person would be shown. It was the driving force of the Otsutsuki clan's power, the fear they seemed to strike into the hearts of their enemies and allies alike. The simple fear of them was what they needed to maintain power and control over the ones below them. It was something that Kaguya had taught her son well. And much to the goddess's joy, Naruto utilized the fear of the clan and manipulated it to a degree in which they could solely benefit from it. Our emotions were a great tool to use to gain something of desire, and it was one of the first things he was taught. Kaguya taught her son to maintain dominance against the other factions. One would need to be feared. Naruto stood with Yasaka beside him as they were sitting in the Otsutsuki clan compound waiting for their guests. Kaguya was nowhere in sight as she did not like Yasaka very much and promised to allow Naruto control over the meeting between them and the devil faction. Soon 2 magical circles appeared in the room, and in a flash of light, a group now appeared in the room. The group of devils that arrived consisted of 4 members. Rias was among the group. Standing beside him was a beautiful girl with long, black hair tied into twin tails and blue eyes. She had a childlike body with large for her figure. She was dressed in a magic girl costume. Standing beside her was a handsome young man looking at his young 20s with shoulder-length crimson hair and green eyes. He wore a black suit and green tie. Standing behind the man was Grafia Lucifuge, still looking the same in her maid outfit. Naruto had already knew who they were. The ones in the room now were Riser Phoenix, Seraphol Leviathan, Cerzex Lucifer, and Grafia Lucifuge. It was hard not to know who they were as they fit the descriptions that his mother had gave him very well. "Ah, you have finally arrived. I hope it is no issue of me being in place of my mother?" Naruto said with a smile on his face. The devils shook their heads, pleased with the answer. He offered them seats in the traditional Japanese room. They all sat down on the cushions prepared for them with smiles on their faces as Naruto kept the fake smile on. "Now I guess we should start with introductions. I am Naruto Otsutsuki, heir to the Otsutsuki clan. I am Yasaka, leader of the Yokai in Kyoto. It is nice to make your acquaintance." Yasaka greeted with a smile of her own as she gave a short bow to the guests. "I am Seraphol Leviathan, but you can call me Leviathan." Seraphol introduced herself cheerfully as she winked and held up a peace sign across one eye. "I am Cerzex Lucifer. It is nice to meet you, Naruto-san, Yasaka-san." Cerzex greeted with a smile of his own. "I am Riser Phoenix. It is an honor to see you again, Naruto-sama. And it is an honor to meet you, Yasaka-sama." Riser greeted with a forced smile as he bowed his head. "Now that is more like it," Naruto said with a smile on his face as Riser got up from the bow and his eyes shone with hatred as he stared at the blonde. "Ah yes, now let me cut to the chase here. Riser here attacked me. With that, the Otsutsuki clan now has an plausible excuse to declare war against the devil faction and wipe your entire race out." The words changed the mood to an unpleasant one quickly as the 4 devils tensed quickly and Naruto caught them twitching slightly. Cerzex still had the friendly smile on his face, but Naruto could tell he was nervous as the others were as well. Yasaka did not seem fazed by the words as she knew the blonde would play with the devil's fear of extinction first before stating his offer. It was an amazing technique to use, implant fear into their hearts before and they would accept any offer to ensure their survival. The strategy worked best when both sides knew the claim was possible as it crushed all uncertainty and boosting the fear in their hearts. That was how Naruto had planned it, and she would not interfere yet. It was just simply going as planned. Yasaka continued to stare with the smile still present on her face. Looks like Naruto-kun was right. They are too scared to try anything, Yasaka thought happily. "Naruto-kun, please, there is no need for war." Cerzex responded with his hands up trying to get the blonde away from declaring war against the devil faction. "If there is anything that we can do to prevent war we will. Please Naruto-kun, you must understand Riser-kun was hot-headed, and he will be punished for it." "Yes, Naruto-sama. I am truly sorry for the attack. I was foolish for attacking you. Please accept my apology and this gift from the Phoenix family." Riser apologized as he held up a box towards the blonde. He was containing his rage, but it was hard with the blonde giving him the smug look once in a while. Naruto accepted the box and gave it to a servant who took it away as soon as the box was in his hands. "Ah yes, thank you for the gift. But I cannot allow you to go without a compensation or a declaration of war." Naruto responded with a serious look on his face. "Riser attacked me and if the Otsutsuki clan does not retaliate it would make us look weak. And we do not like being seen as weak." "Naruto-kun is correct." Yasaka agreed as she got everyone's attention on her. Not only will the Otsutsuki clan be seen as weak, but the Yokai as well. The Otsutsuki clan are a part of the Kyoto branch, and if they do not get anything out of this then it will not look well for us. "Of course, we will pay anything if it means stopping a war between the Yokai and devil faction." Seraphol spoke up as she drew the attention from Yasaka to her. "Name the price, Naruto-kun, and we shall see what we can do." "Very well then. Then I shall ask for the control of Kyoto town and the surrounding areas for compensation." Naruto responded after a few minutes. "Done." Surzex quickly replied as he heard the idea, not bothering to consult with Serafal about it. His family owned Ko Town and the surrounding area, and if they gave it to the family who were angered by Riser, then he could possibly get Rias out of the engagement. That or it would strengthen the ties between the Gremry and Phoenix. It did not matter, as both seemed better than war. Naruto-kun, we shall deliver the papers at once. But now that we finally get to meet the Otsutsuki clan, may I formally invite you to witness the rating game between my sister and Riser. The invitation is open to you as well, Yasaka-san. The game will give us an excuse to amend things between the Devil faction and the Yokai, no? A rating game, huh? Naruto mused to himself as he turned to look at Yasaka. It would be interesting to see one, and yes, Ka-chan will be there as well, so an official meeting between the two shall take place, Surzex-san. I shall attend as well, Yasaka said, giving her answer to the invitation. Though she knew the devils were focusing on the Otsutsuki family more due to their power, she was used to it. Naruto beckoned for one of the servants to bring the case she was holding, grabbing it from her and placed it on the table before him, and opening it. Turning the case around and allowing the devils the view of the item inside, he spoke, as a gesture of goodwill, accept this gift on the behalf of the Otsutsuki clan and the Yokai branch in Kyoto. Thank you very much, Naruto-kun, Yasaka-san. We will accept this on behalf of the devil faction, Serafal said as she closed the case, holding the gift inside, and smiled at him. Grafia took the case and held it for the group as she resumed her position behind the two Satans. The gift was quite shocking. It was a statue of a man she did not know who, but it did not matter. Naruto-kun, come closer, I have a gift for you as well. Come closer, please. Naruto did as instructed and leaned forward a bit, and Serafal did as well. Before anything else can happen, Grafia yanked Serafal back and kept her from doing anything else. Serafal tried to get loose from the grip the maid had on her. Naruto simply blinked at that in surprise as he looked at them oddly. It was odd to see such powerful people act so oddly, but he shrugged it off since he and Ho acted like idiots when they were together. It was understandable. It was like the universal law that people of power all had odd quirks and habits. Why did you do that, Grafia? I wanted to give Naruto-kun a thank you kiss. Serafal whined childishly as he pouted like a child. Naruto-sama, I have an request. Riser suddenly spoke, stopping everyone's movements, and got their attention as well. Depends on what it is, Naruto responded simply. I wish to have a spar with you, Naruto-sama, Riser announced. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. Before any of the other devils could stop him from going further or even speak, Riser spoke once more. As you know, I am going to face off against Rias in a rating game soon, and I wish to see how I do against someone of your caliber. Naruto-kun, he Surzex began, but he was interrupted. No. I believe it is a great idea, Riser. Let us put everything behind us in a friendly spar. Naruto responded happily. He was very pleased with the request. Very well then, Surzex said in defeat. It was a foolish idea, but he was no longer in control of the situation. He just hoped the power of a phoenix could stand up to a son of a god. Naruto and Riser both stood facing each other in the training grounds in the Otsutsuki clan compound. Surzex, Grafia, Serafal, and Yasaka all stood in the sidelines as they watched the two face each other, waiting for the fight to begin. Naruto was very pleased today, the fact that he received territory for the clan, and now he got to show an arrogant fool that he was nothing but a bug for someone to step on. Truly, he hated arrogant people. They believed they were untouchable and no one could stand up to them. It was infuriating how high and mighty they believed they were, and to simply put one in place was something that he would gladly do. The look they got when they were beaten to the ground was the best. The utter disbelief was quite amusing. Ho enjoyed doing it as well, as it was very hilarious indeed. He and Ho really did have strange ways to entertain themselves. Very well then, shall we begin? Naruto asked. I'll start, you bastard! Riser shouted as he brought his hand forward and blasted a wave of fire towards the blonde. Naruto was already writing kanji in the air with light blue magic as he waited for the fire to come. Once it was a few feet away from him, Naruto merely formed the ram hand sign. The fire did not get any further as it was stopped by an invisible barrier keeping it in place and away from the blonde on the other side. The fire died down after a minute of unsuccessfully trying to bypass the barrier. Naruto rushed forward and sent a punch towards Riser. The devil leaned back to avoid the blow, but Naruto sent another punch at his stomach with his free hand. The punch landed and the force sent Riser back a few meters, and he clutched his stomach in mild pain before it was gone due to his amazing healing factor. Seeing as Riser recovered from the blow, Naruto rushed forward and went for another punch. Riser sent a large fireball towards the blonde in retaliation. Seeing the fireball, Naruto opened his fist and channeled chakra into his palm. Water release. Azure Dragon Palm was the name of the technique he was using. A spiraling torrent of water shot out from his hand and met the fireball, and a layer of smoke filled the area. Once the smoke vanished, Naruto was nowhere in sight. Rias looked around frantically as he looked for his opponent. His search ended shortly as Naruto appeared behind him and placed him in a hold as he lifted one arm into the air and a bolt of lightning shot down from the sky. Lightning release. Lightning rod. Naruto allowed the lightning to travel around his body and into Rias. Screamed out in pain as lightning coursed through his body. Rias coated himself in a layer of fire to retaliate. Naruto released Rias and jumped back. Naruto's hands formed into the snake hand sign and he spewed out a massive volume of water from his mouth, and the water washed over the entire field, swallowing up Rias in the process. The water did not escape the training grounds as the seals flared up and a barrier formed around the training grounds and stopped the water from escaping. Tiger, snake, tiger, bird, tiger, ram, tiger. Lightning release. Thunderbolt. Naruto's two hands released a discharge of lightning as he brought them together and aimed it for the water below him. The lightning danced across the surface of the water and electrocuted Rias, who was still in the water. Naruto stood on top of the water as he watched the lightning and water do their work until the water escaped from the barrier. Rias was left on the ground. His body was smoking as his healing factor was doing its magic, and his wounds were healing quickly. Rias began standing up slowly as his body was smoking from the lightning attacks. He stood unsteadily on his feet. Rias was panting heavily as rage began building in his body. Glaring at the blonde with hate-filled eyes, he sent a wave of fire at the blonde. Tiger, hair, boar, dog. Earth style. Earth style wall. Naruto slammed his palm on the ground below and a solid earth wall rose from the earth below and stopped the fire from damaging Naruto. Earth release. Hiding like a mole technique. Naruto dug into the earth and vanished as a clone replaced him behind the wall. Rias stopped his attack when he thought it was enough. Once the vision of the field ahead was visible once more to Rias, he saw a damaged earth wall before him. Rushing forward, he pushed past the wall and saw Naruto behind it as he brought a large fireball down towards the blonde. The fireball made contact with the blonde and Naruto was caught in the fire once the fireball exploded. Rias had his flaming wings out as a cruel smirk formed on his face, but before he could even bathe in the joy of victory, multiple figures shot out from the ground and surrounded Rias. Rias's eyes widened in shock as he realized the figures were all Naruto. Two clones grabbed hold of Rias and held him in place as another one kicked him backwards. The remaining one kicked him into the air where the real Naruto was waiting. Naruto's hand was cloaked in wind as he brought it down towards Rias, who was approaching fast. The blow from Naruto sent him back towards the ground. Sealing tags were sent his way as they attached themselves onto his body and immobilized the phoenix. The added force from the blow combined with gravity made the impact with the ground greater, and a cloud of dust kicked up and covered Rias's fallen body. Once the dust cleared, Rias was struggling to move as the seals glowed, keeping him down on the ground. "My win, Rias," Naruto said with a smirk on his face as Xerxes and the others approached. Gabriel went to check on the condition of Rias. Seeing he was healing, she removed the tags from his body, allowing him movement once more. Rias sent a glare at Naruto but didn't respond as he sent a quick bow and stormed away before vanishing in a flash. Xerxes and Serafal frowned slightly. Gabriel's emotionless expression still held. "Naruto-kun, you must excuse Rias-kun. He is like," Xerxes said as he gave the blonde a smile once more. "It was a great spar." "Of course, thank you. No matter, I did not even get to have fun yet," Naruto replied with a slightly disappointed tone. "I believe it is time for us to leave. I wish to see you and your mother during the raiding game, Naruto-kun." Xerxes bid his farewell as he and Gabriel took a few paces back. "Naruto-kun, when you come to the underworld, Leviathan will take care of you," Serafal chirped happily as she gave the blonde a smile and walked towards her two companions, and they vanished in a flash of light. Kaguya was situated in her favorite spot, the room overlooking the garden in the compound. Her son was seated beside her as he too was looking at the garden. They were enjoying the view of the garden and sipping tea along with it. It was one of their favorite activities to do together as mother and son, that and fighting as a tag team. "Naruto-kun, now that we have gained the Ko territory, you shall take command of it. Yasaka has already agreed to it," Kaguya announced, not even sparing her son a glance. "I understand, Ka-chan," Naruto answered, not looking away from the scenery either. "The raiding game that the devils invited us to attend, use it as an opportunity to gather information about the underworld," Kaguya instructed as she gave her son a commanding look. "Understood, Ka-chan. I will have a clone infiltrate and search for information." "Make sure you do, we need to know if they are a threat or not." Rias Gremory, in all of her life she had been spoiled. How could she not? She was the daughter of Lord Gremory and Venelana Bale, and not only that, but she was the sister of Xerxes Lucifer, and the heiress of the Gremory clan. She was practically a princess. She could do what she wanted and get what she wanted without any consequences. Her privileged childhood was filled with everything a girl could want, from horses to pretty dresses and even castles. Though she found her love for Japanese anime and manga, went on a trip to Japan one summer with her brother, and it was safe to say she was fascinated by the wonders of animation. That was when she became a full-blown otaku, and that was the reason her dream to attend a school in Japan with her peerage. Her family owned territory in Japan, and much to her joy a school as well. Persuading her parents and brother to allow her to attend the school, they relented after hours of begging and pouting. It was amazing how easy it was to get something she wanted from her cis-con of a brother, just one pout and an acute face he cracked. Rias had came to love the Ko town and Ko Academy as she ruled over it with permission from her brother and her parents as well. It was her territory and a second home for her and her cute servants. Now it was all taken from her. Her brother had contacted her that Ko town and the academy were given away to the Otsutsuki clan as compensation for her idiotic fiancé's actions towards Naruto. Not only that, but her control of the school and power over it shifted to Naruto. Not that she had nothing against him, but she was a devil. Devils were true to their nature, they were selfish, and Rias was no exception. With the land taken away from her, she was now furious about it. Now she demanded a meeting with the blonde. She did not use those exact words, but she got the meeting anyways. There was another reason for the meeting as well. Though she was going to approach the blonde with her usual way, she was no fool. If she did something he did not like, he had the power to retaliate. The raiding game against Riser had been delayed and the time to prepare for the battle had been increased, but she delayed the training trip as well. Rias was seated in the occult research club behind her desk with the rest of her peerage nearby. She did not tell them about the situation, but Akino, her queen, always had a way of finding out. They had been waiting for a little while and it didn't take a genius to figure out that Rias was not in a good mood. Issei was shifting around uncomfortably on the couch where he was seated. The double doors were swung open as two people entered the room. One of them was Naruto himself, dressed in his uniform, and standing beside him was a relatively handsome young man around the age of 18 with black hair and brown eyes. He was dressed in his usual traditional Chinese robes, but this time his hair was held up with a different ornament with a hand fan completing his outfit. "Welcome, Naruto-kun. It is great to see you again." Rias greeted with a slight smile before her gaze fell on the other person that walked in with Naruto. "And I believe we have not met." "I am Ho, Naruto's partner." Ho greeted as he flashed her and the other members of the peerage a fake smile. Rias decided that Ho received enough attention and went to tackle the reason why she invited Naruto to the meeting. Naruto and Ho took a seat on the remaining couch and stared at Rias with a neutral look on both of their faces. "Rias, what is the issue for this meeting?" "Ho and I were planning on going fishing." "Naruto-kun, Oniai-sama told me the Yokai branch took control of Kuo," Rias stated as she ignored shocked looks on her peerage members minus Akino. Naruto merely nodded, confirming the claim as he waited for the devil to speak once more. "What are you planning to do with Kuo, Naruto-kun?" Naruto was quiet for a little bit until his friendly demeanor vanished and was by a calculative one. "Rias, my plans involving Kuo and the surrounding lands so not concern you." "Naruto-kun, I understand that you control the territory and that you must be careful. But I am your friend Naruto-kun, you can trust me," Rias said as she crossed her arms and showed off her large assets to the blonde, who did not even break eye contact for a second. Issei and Ho weren't as polite as the two were enjoying a great view from their positions on the couch. "Seduction will not work, Rias," Naruto replied with a slightly bored tone as he smacked Ho on the back of his head, stopping the pervert from looking at the devil's bust for any longer. Ignoring the annoyed look he received from his friend, he simply refocused on Rias. "The future plans for Ko and Ko Academy shall be only known to the ones I trust." "Are you saying you do not trust me?" Rias asked, slightly hurt by the newly revealed information. Her face was turned into a frown as she waited for an answer from the blonde. Though she hardly knew him, she could not help but feel a bit hurt. "Yes," Naruto replied simply, not bothering to even think of another way to phrase it. The girl's feelings were no concern of his, and if he hurt them he would not care. Though Rias was friendly, she was not someone he wished to associate with. She was manipulative and on top of that heartless in a sense. Though Naruto was like that at times, he had a reason for his actions and behavior. Rias did not. She allowed Issei to die though she had the chance to save him. Like that she gained a loyal pawn. The entire situation made her look as if she was some demonic angel. That sickened him, the fact that someone so selfish could simply play off something like that as if she was doing the right thing. This was the reason he hated devils. They were selfish and only cared for themselves. Naruto-kun. Rias was cut off by Naruto as he raised his hand to stop her from speaking again. The action drew attention from everyone in the room as attention returned to the blonde once more. "Rias, I must cut this conversation short," Naruto began as he gave a quick nod to Ho, who was already ready to go. "We have an issue to attend to. Please finish this up quickly so we can leave." Rias was not happy about how he had interrupted her, but nevertheless she decided to be blunt with her request as the blonde was this entire time they spoke. "I want to ask if you could please train my peerage for the upcoming raiding game? I know you defeated Riser in battle, and if you help train me and my peerage then we have a greater chance of winning." "No," Naruto replied without a second of thinking about the question as he and Ho got up from the couch and began walking towards the door. Rias was expecting him to think about it for at least a second and not give her an answer right off the bat like that. What do you mean no? Rias questioned as she looked at the duo with a face full of disbelief. Before she composed herself and proposed an offer, how about I pay for your services? Allow me. Ho placed a hand over Naruto's shoulder, stopping him from speaking, and turned to Rias with a smile on his face. Rias-san, Naruto and I have more important issues to attend to other than training you and your peerage. Please. I am begging you here. I do not want to marry Riser, and I can only get out of the marriage if we win the upcoming rating game. Rias nearly shouted in a pleading tone. The two were not swayed by her whatsoever. Before any of the two could answer, someone else did. Issei pleaded. Naruto-san, Ho-san. Please train us. I don't want to see Bucho marry that guy. As I said, the final answer is no. Naruto responded firmly as he moved towards the doors once more, with Ho following closely behind. It annoyed Naruto that the blind loyalty that Issei shown to Rias, even though she had been a factor in his death. After the door closed, Ho's friendly exterior shifted to one of hate as he continued to follow Naruto out of the building. Japan was an island country that had a wide variety of food. But one of the main sources was none other than fish. Fish was in a good portion of dishes and snacks as they had large portions of it. While many enjoyed fish, there was something that attracted the three males now sitting on the docks waiting patiently for a fish to bite. The sport of fishing itself was fun. It tested many things and patience was one of them. Not only that, it was peaceful. Fishing was something Naruto himself could do and enjoy due to its lack of people in the area. True, the mortals were very entertaining, they were still monsters in their own right. Much of them destroyed the beauty of the world and replaced it with their own creations. The natural energy was not as strong here as it was in the other world. It was a relief that the humans had not gotten to the sacred spots as of yet, and he would make sure they were guarded and safe from human reach. Currently Naruto was sitting beside Ho. The third companion was a tall man around his late 20s with an average build, black hair, golden bangs and a goatee. The man was none other than Azazel, the Governor General of Grigori. For some strange reason, the man enjoyed fishing for similar reasons. The three were currently waiting for fish to bite as they spoke to one and another about random topics. Naruto knew that the man sitting beside him and Ho was powerful, but the two of them could easily handle him together. Facing off against him as one would take a bit longer, but overall he was confident in both of their abilities to handle him with ease. Though he at the moment was in his sealed state, he could handle himself in combat. Releasing the seal would drastically power him up and surpass Azazel, and place himself in a new league entirely consisting of gods and some of the most powerful Buddhas. So, Naruto. This is a new fishing spot you took us to, how do you find it? Azazel asked as he drank some sake that he had brought with him as he turned to the blonde in question. I didn't find it, you did. Naruto replied as he made brief eye contact with Azazel before turning back to the body of water situated before him. They were fishing at a beautiful area surrounded by a forest. Animals could be heard from the spot where the three sat. The sun was shining brightly as the rays reflected off of the lake, giving it a beautiful shade of blue. I still find it fascinating how you have a phone wang as unfamiliar, Azazel said as he too looked at the lake. Azazel was a genius. He was able to create artificial sacred gears, which was an amazing feat to accomplish, but he was still puzzled by the creature itself. Phonwangs were mythological creatures from Chinese mythology that only appeared in areas blessed with utmost prosperity and peace or happiness. Now he was wondering how someone like Naruto could gain the loyalty from such a creature was just mind-boggling. Yu was the name of his phonwang, though his was a male, or was considered a phone. The terms mixed together, and soon the combination of both male and female names came together. Though the phonwang was not a familiar for combat, they were a symbol of virtue and high grace. That was not all, as the legendary bird symbolized the union of yin and yang. The bird was connected to royalty, as the bird would later on be shown to represent the empress and the dragon representing the emperor. Not only that, the bird was known as the king of birds in Chinese supernatural group, and the last sighting of these birds was nearly centuries ago. So the first sighting of one was none other than Yu, Naruto's phonwang. I got a bite! Ho yelled out in excitement as he quickly reeled his catch in. Naruto and Azazel looked at the incoming float in anticipation. As the Ho continued to reel it in, he gave a final yank as he pulled the fish out of the water. The fish soared through the air as the three to catch the flying fish, but in a swift motion the fish was swept away by a bird with multiple colored feathers. The bird was a composite of multiple birds. It had the head of a golden pheasant, the body of a mandarin duck, the tail of a peacock, the legs of a crane, the mouth of a parrot, and the wings of a swallow. Ho groaned as he watched his catch being carried off by the beautiful bird. Naruto, you owe me a fish. You weren't going to eat it anyways, why not let you eat it? Naruto questioned as he gave his best friend a questioning look before making his way towards the lake once more. Ho followed as he grumbled about the unfairness of the world. Naruto then stopped and turned to face Ho. Besides, it was luck anyways. Is that a challenge, you blonde idiot? Ho asked as his left eye twitched in annoyance. What do you think, you perverted monkey? Naruto replied as a smirk found its way on his face. Ho was a fun-loving yokai. That was something nobody in the entire Kyoto province could argue with that. Times when his fun-loving demeanor broke was when people threatened the ones that were precious to him. Much like Naruto, he adopted the ideal of protecting the precious ones close to his heart. Not only was he willing to sacrifice his life for the ones he cared for, he would do it in a heartbeat if it was Naruto. Ho from the start of his life was different. At a young age he developed a love for the female body, and it soon evolved from hidden admiration to shameless ogling. During that time in his childhood, he had a few close friends and 2 loving parents. That was all he could wish for, but it was all taken from him by a damned devil. He could remember what happened the day he would never forget. That day everything was taken from him. Flashback. Aman Island, a minor island in Penang, Malaysia, and was also known as the Island of Peace, home to a small village of monkey yokai. The village was an average one with multiple buildings surrounding a statue of a bird. The bird was none other than the legendary bird known as the Fenghuang. The legendary bird had followed an ancient cycle as it appeared on the island once every 100 years. Legends said that if one caught sight of the Fenghuang would bless the person with luck for eternity. That was not all that the legendary bird granted. A feather from the bird granted knowledge and prosperity. Though there had only been a few sightings of the legendary bird since ancient times, but only on the island itself. Knowledge of the sightings was never released to the public, as the monkey yokai would keep it a secret to guard the knowledge of the bird. Due to this action the yokai did, their crops grew to new heights annually and the small village and all of its inhabitants prospered. For a good amount of time the relationship between the bird and the monkey yokai continued until the fateful day of August 9th. It was the day the Fenghuang would arrive and the village was buzzing with activity, as everyone made last-minute preparations. A boat carrying a devil by the name of Habir Belphegor. Habir was a member of the Belphegor clan, one of the extra devil clans. His clan, due to their status as an extra clan, they were one of the bottom clans, and that was the reason for this trip. He had heard from one of the foolish beasts about the arrival of the legendary bird known as the Fenghuang. Habir was no genius, but he did read up on the legend of the king of birds, which blessed the person who caught sight of it with luck. And now here he was making his way towards the village that he got the location from the captured yokai. Torturing it for information, he was now leading his entire peerage there to capture the bird when it arrived. A piece of information from the yokai pleased him to no end. The village's yokai were peaceful and had little to no combat experience, as they only used jujitsu as illusions to keep the mortals away. So in conclusion, the heathens would be easy to dispose of before the bird arrived and he would get a new familiar. Ho was enjoying his day in the forest. Today was his first time participating in the festival of the Avian King. Ho, to say the least, nervous. The arrival of the legendary Fenghuang was the most celebrated day of the 100-year cycle. Offerings would be made and prayers recited as the bird arrived on the Island of Peace. He would play an active role in such a thing, as Ho was chosen to be the first one to offer. As the son of the chief, it was his duty to lead the village, and he would by being the first to offer. His offer was a statue of the Fenghuang from what he had been working on as the days counting down to this day when he would offer his creation to the bird. Making last-minute checks on his work, Ho never noticed the group of devils making their way towards the village. It took a little over an hour for Ho to fully perfect his carving. Heading towards the village, Ho ran as fast as legs could carry him. It was almost time for the festival to begin, and he was not dressed in the ceremonial robes. Seeing smoke rise from the village, Ho ran faster as a thought ran through his mind: they started the festival already. The sight of the entire village laying on the ground dead and covered in their own blood was not something Ho expected, yet it was the sight he was granted once he arrived at the village. A man dressed in rather expensive clothing stood in the middle of the group, a cruel smile on his face. The man was not alone. A group mixed with both genders, physical appearances changing from one to the next, stood around the area with the slaughtered villagers, their hands coated in blood. Standing there looking at the corpses of his friends and family, Ho did not speak as his eyes stayed wide. The man noticed him as he turned towards Ho, and the cruel smile grew larger as he ordered one of the surrounding males to go after Ho. The carving of the king of birds fell from his grasp as Ho was dragged towards the man. Upon arrival, Ho was shoved to the ground and forced into a bowing position as he lifted his head to face the man. The man studied him further as the cruel smile never left his face. "Tell me, heathen, where is the bird?" the man asked as he gave the young yokai bowing before him a hard look. "You primitive savage should be honored. A devil such as myself is speaking to you. Now tell me, heathen, where is the bird?" The other heathens did not speak. "But you will tell me." Ho was still in shock as he continued to stare at the man with a mixture of emotions. The man was not patient as he ordered them to beat the answer out of the young yokai. Fists connected with his stomach and mouth as tears formed in his eyes from the pain. Though he was a yokai, his body could endure more than a regular human's, but he was still not mature, so his body was only slightly stronger than a human's. He couldn't do anything but endure the beating. Soon his vision began to blur as the pain took over his body, but before he could fall into unconsciousness, the man holding him in place dropped him suddenly, and the beating stopped. Looking up, Ho saw a young boy with spiky sun-kissed blonde hair with whisker marks on his face, dressed in a white and orange kimono, pelting the men and women with pebbles. The men went to stop the boy. Seeing the approaching men, the blonde dashed away and began evading them. 2 men followed the blonde into the forest, but before they could even enter, they were slammed into the ground by an invisible force. The ground beneath them were decorated by black kanji symbols. More and more of the group went to chase the blonde, leaving the man who had questioned him about the bird. Ho felt his body being lifted roughly as his blurred vision caught sight of the man's face. The man continued to shake his body and demanding the location of the bird, but it never came as the boy from before threw another rock which flew past his face and cut the man's cheek slightly. Turning to face the blonde, the man dropped Ho as he sent the blonde a glare that would make any normal man fear for his life. "How dare you! I am Javier Belfagor, you savage, I will kill you!" Before the newly named Javier could even make a step, chains shot out from the ground and wrapped around his body and tightened around him. Forcing him to the ground, Javier struggled to get out of the binds even with his magic. Looking around for the source of the chains, he spotted a man with white hair wearing a simply white kimono with a sash tied over it. The man had his hand on the ground as he slowly got up and lifted his hand as well, revealing the source of the chains. "You will not harm Naruto-sama," the man said as he gave the bound devil a glare before turning to the blonde. "Naruto-sama, are you alright? Please do not run off again." "I'm okay, Shinji," the newly named Naruto called out as he ran towards the beaten boy and helped him sit. Looking at him with concern, Naruto studied the boy and waited for his other guards to arrive. "Are you hurt?" Ho couldn't answer as he stared at the blonde as his vision began fading, and soon enough pain took over his body, and he fell into unconsciousness. It was on that day that Ho found a friend. His hate for the devils grew time and time again as he witnessed the crimes committed by the cursed race, and they had the audacity of calling him and his people savages. On that day, Ho swore loyalty to Naruto and promised when he and Naruto grew up he would be by his side. Naruto was the one that saved him and gave him his new life, though Naruto only asked for his friendship, but Ho swore to himself that he would do whatever he could to help out his friend. Ho was currently looking at the statue that he had carved as a kid. It served as a reminder of that fateful day. Though it was not the only reminder he received, there was also the feather from the Feng Wang he had received from Naruto when he had awoken. The feather was red in color, representing knowledge, though it was something he did not wish to have right after the death of his loved ones. He had taken it anyways. It was a token of friendship from the blonde. Knowing the power one feather possessed, he had chosen to give it to him instead of keeping it. Naruto was on his back, laying in the middle of a large ceiling array with his shirt removed. Kaguya stood over him and looked at her son's stomach and placed her hand on the ceiling array. They appeared. Pushing her chakra into it, Kaguya used her free hand to unroll the scroll beside her and channeled chakra to the right seal on the scroll. Removing her hand from her son's stomach, Kaguya's other hand now had a sealing array on it as she slammed it onto the seal on Naruto's stomach. Naruto grunted in pain as he waited for the process to end. Soon enough the pain ended and Kaguya removed her hand from his stomach. Naruto felt power flood his entire system as white chakra cloaked around Naruto. Kaguya stood back watching the process. She was expecting something like this. With the newfound power of chakra, the offspring of any Otsutsuki needed a certain amount of their power sealed off. The reason for this was because of the 2 different sources of energies residing in their body. The body was born to only handle one source, not 2, and the body of a newborn could not handle the strain of housing both energies like so. To fix the issue, the clan sealed off a portion of the newborn's power and allowed the body to adapt to the 2 sources of energy. It was an issue that came with the chakra, but it was easy to deal with since the magic and chakra pool of the newborn would act up, but nothing seals could not handle. Sealing a portion of the newborn's energy away, once the physical body matured, reaching the age of 16 or 17, then it would safe to unseal the energy. Once the power subsided, Kaguya looked at new son once more. His physical features changed due to the unsealed power. Naruto's hair no longer was blonde as it turned as white as snow, matching Kaguya's. Now on his forehead was horn-like protrusions extending from both sides. His whisker marks that were once present on his cheeks vanished. Opening his eyes, Naruto blinked a few times, adjusting to his surroundings and the sharper vision he now possessed. Looking at his body, Naruto examined it, but stopped when he looked in the mirror and got a visual of his face. The white hair and horn-like protrusions were one thing, but the most shocking was his eyes. No longer were the blue, replacing them were a set of light purple sclerae and irides with a ripple pattern that spread over his eyeballs. Kaguya was very pleased with her son's new physical appearance. The eyes were what pleased her the most as she was happy her son inherited it. Enough, Naruto-kun, We must begin your training with your body immediately. Kagaya commanded as she turned around and walked out of the sealing room, but stopped when she reached the door. Meet me in the training grounds when you are done. Of course, Kachan, Naruto replied absently as he continued to study his new physical appearance. His mother had told him of the possible changes, but he did not expect so much. Now he possessed his brother's eyes, the Rinnegan. Again, Kagaya commanded as she overlooked her son's training. She was having her son use the technique known as Shinra Tensei, heavenly subjugation of the omnipresent god. The minimum time for the attack to recharge was 5 seconds and her son was at 7. She could not have her son lacking on anything. Shinra Tensei! Naruto shouted as he channeled chakra to his arm and aimed it towards the forest in the training grounds. An invisible force unrooted multiple trees and sent them flying while some others were only knocked down from the blast. Gritting his teeth in frustration, Naruto prepared for the attack once more. The newly gained power Naruto had just received had boosted his power to new heights, but he could not control his newly found power as well. His manipulation of gravity was not the greatest, and he wished it was easier to master the attractive and repulsive forces. With his new eyes, he found out a few things about them. With these eyes, he had access to the 6 paths. The Azura path, the path that allowed him to utilize his body as a weapon by augmenting his own body. The animal path allowed him the power to summon creatures that were immortal and required nothing in return. The Deva path allowed him to manipulate attractive and repulsive forces, or control over gravity in a sense. The human path allowed him to read enemies' minds and yank the soul out of anyone's body. The Naraka path allowed him 2 main abilities, interrogation and restoration. The Preta path allowed him to absorb chakra, and with the time to develop, he could absorb magic as well. And lastly, the outer path, the most powerful path which allowed him control over life and death, as it existed outside the realm of life and death. With those main abilities, Naruto now stood with the most powerful gods and Buddhas. If he trained in the abilities of all the paths and mastered them, then he would surpass the gods and Buddhas easily, and with the power of his eyes he himself could be considered a god. The power to take and give life was divine, and now it was in his hands. He would surpass his mother with the newly gained power and bring glory to the Otsutsuki clan. Naruto and Ho were facing each other. They were currently situated in the training ground hidden by the trees. Ho was still garbed in his robes, but he now had a metallic bow staff strapped to his back and on his waist was a gourd. Naruto's outfit changed from his school outfit. Now garbed in a white, high-collared kimono with a black obi, and over the kimono was a pale blue sash that he wore on his right shoulder. On the back of his shirt was the Otsutsuki clan symbol. It was a black and white crest depicting a sun enclosed in a crescent moon. Beneath his robes, Naruto wore long loose black pants and sandals. "Alright, on a count of 3. Ho said with a smirk on his face as he got into a loose stance and watched as Naruto followed his actions and got into his own loose stance. Ho, seeing Naruto return his smirk, his very own grew larger. "I don't want you to complain to mommy when you lose, Usagi-sama. You should really keep that mouth of yours shut, Ho." Naruto responded as his eyebrows slightly twitched as he heard the last few words. The reason he was being called Usagi was because of his Yokai portion. He was a Hanyu and the Yokai portion of his body was a rabbit, or better known as a Usagi. Being half Usagi gave Ho a chance to create better and more embarrassing nicknames for him, much to his annoyance. "On a count of 3. Ho replied, the smirk replaced with a cheeky grin. 1, 2, 3. Ho charged forward and met his best friend in the middle of the training ground. Sending a fist towards the white-haired Hanyu, Naruto of course saw the incoming fist and leaned to the right to allow the fist to fly by. Retaliating and sending a punch towards Ho, his attack was met with Ho's very own. Using his other fist, Naruto aimed for Ho's chest, but it didn't get very far as Ho caught his fist and stopping it before it could do anything. The two held that position for a little while before they both brought their heads back and sent them forward to head at each other. Naruto and Ho shared a grin as they continued to push for dominance, but deciding it was enough, Naruto freed himself and jumped back into the air. Rat Tiger Dog Ox Rabbit Tiger. Fire Style. Phoenix Sage Flower Technique. Naruto sent a volley of small fireballs towards Ho, who quickly grabbed the bow's staff and spun it in a circular motion as the fireballs made contact and exploded. Though he managed to survive against as a few, there were 2 more fireballs as they flew around the bow's staff and flanked his defense. Naruto was controlling the fireballs as he maneuvered them to bypass his friend's simple defense. They did as commanded and were sent towards Ho, who was still spinning his staff. Looking at the 2 incoming fireballs in slight shock, Ho quickly stopped the spinning of his bow's staff and planted his feet firmly on the ground as he swung his staff and struck the 2 fireballs. Turning to face Naruto, Ho noticed the blonde was already charging towards him. Holding his bow staff with both hands, he slammed the staff against the ground and the earth cracked from the impact and broken pieces of the earth were sent in every direction. Naruto slowed down his approach and jumped onto one of the rising rocks, and used it as a boost to send himself into the air. In Naruto's right hand was a basketball-sized spiraling sphere with a white core. Ho grinned as he jumped into the air to meet Naruto head-on, his staff ready for the incoming attack. The sphere and bow staff made contact as a small explosion of white formed around the two and soon consumed them. The impact against the bow staff sent Naruto and Ho back respectively, though the two landed on the ground both with grins on their faces. "That Rinnegan of yours is quite impressive," Ho complimented as he got up and prepared for another confrontation with his best friend. "It's amazing how you were able to remake it when he saw it for the first time." "Haha, but that wasn't the complete version," Naruto replied as he stood up and stretched a bit. "Want to get something to eat? I'm hungry." "As long as it isn't ramen," Ho responded as he strapped his staff to his back once more and walked towards the blonde. Seeing his disappointed expression, Ho smiled. "You know those noodles aren't good for you, right?" Yeah, whatever," Naruto mumbled as he and Ho walked out of the slightly destroyed training ground. "Ho, do not anything foolish," Naruto said, his tone and expression turned serious as he looked at his friend with a frown on his face. "We know the devil faction is hiding Heir Belphegor, and we will find his location. But acting against them is foolish. Though we can and will crush them in a war, it is still unnecessary for us to go into one. I cannot allow blood to be shed when the clan has only so many numbers left." "You're telling me to let the man who murdered my entire village go?" Ho snapped at his friend, his body shaking from the contained fury, as he glared at his best friend with eyes filled with hatred. "No, I am asking you to wait a little longer before killing him," Naruto responded as he and his friend continued to stare at each other. "Ho, we do not even know where he is located. Our spies have been able to find traces of him in the underworld but not an exact location. If you go searching for him, then it would take too long, and you would be bound to be caught by the devils. Wait a little longer, Ho, and you will have Heir's location. Though I do not believe revenge is the best answer, it is up to you to decide." "Fine," Ho responded finally as he grit his teeth in frustration. "That bastard managed to escape years ago, it won't happen again." "You may go, Shinji," Naruto ordered his bodyguard, who was situated behind him. Shinji bowed and vanished into the shadows. Walking towards his friend, he placed a hand on his shoulder and got his attention. "Ho, the raiding game is in a few days and I want you to come along with me, acting as my second guard alongside Shinji. But please do not do anything out of hand." "I need to clear my head," Ho said as he left the room swiftly. Naruto looked at the retreating figure of his best friend and sighed. "Shinji," Naruto called out as his bodyguard materialized before him once more and bowed before him. "I want you to shadow Ho and make sure he does not do anything stupid. If he does, report to me at once." "Of course, young master," Shinji responded as he bowed his head and vanished from sight once again. "That single piece of information did that to you, huh? Looks like you still hasn't gotten over their death. Ho, I hope you do not go after Heir. Your hatred and anger will cloud your mind, but if you do, I shall stand by your side as you have by mine for these past years," Naruto thought as he released a sigh and made his way out of the room. He had a lot on his mind and he needed to clear his head. The upcoming raiding game allowed him the chance to collect some much-needed information about the devils, and hopefully end the hatred and pain Ho was carrying with him. "Naruto-kun, do you know why I called you here?" Yasaka questioned as she stared at the seated blonde before her. Seeing a shrug from Naruto, she continued, "I am calling you here for some much-needed assistance. As you know, with your clan, the Otsutsuki clan associated with Kyoto, and the Yokai branch situated here, we could be considered one of the most powerful supernatural groups in the world. Now that we have greater influence, I believe it is time we open ourselves to the other Yokai branches in Asia. I cannot do it alone, so what do you think about this matter?" "Why speak to them at the moment?" Naruto questioned as he adopted a serious expression and thought about the possibilities that Yasaka was speaking of. Nothing seemed to be a positive for the group aside from a gathered group of Yokai under one banner. "Yasaka, do you really believe it is possible for you to command such a large group of Yokai yourself? I am not saying you are not capable, I am merely stating that they would only listen to the ones with power." "That is where you come in," Yasaka answered as she smiled slightly. "With your support as the clan heir to the Otsutsuki clan, then I can safely hold the position of leader without any discomfort. If the Otsutsuki clan, the most powerful clan, supports me being the leader, then they will follow one by one. So how about it, Naruto-kun?" "Yasaka, what you are planning is foolish," Naruto began as he narrowed his eyes. "Though we may be the most powerful clan in the entire world, some of the Yokai still despise us. Being Hanyu does not help us sway their opinions either, and do you expect all the Yokai to simply allow you to rule over them? If you do, then it is foolish. Especially the Usagi Yokai, from the past when we were merely an exiled group they loathed us. And now we rise to the top and they will not allow simple fear to sway their minds. From the beginning they have hated us for being Hanyu with their blood in us, and now since we are the most powerful clan the hate they carry will grow. Face it, Yasaka, having the Usagi Yokai as comrades is far-fetched, they will never associate themselves with us. Those fools are too prideful. Yasaka merely sighed as she now wore a tired expression on her face. Naruto-kun, be logical here. Though the Usagi Yokai and the Otsutsuki clan have bad blood between the two, can't you look past that and agree to come under a single banner? Yasaka, what you are asking is the Otsutsuki clan work with a group of ignorant fools that have been tormenting us for generations. Naruto responded as he was clearly getting frustrated with the nine-tailed fox. My clan may do what is best for the Yokai branch in Kyoto at times, but know this, we will never assist them until they pay for their crimes against my clan. So you will not help in bringing the scattered Yokai branches together? Yasaka asked once more. No, unless the Usagi Yokai are not associated from the group, then we will help. Naruto responded as he stood up and made his way to the door. Know this, Yasaka, if you go through with the plan then you will lose the support of the Otsutsuki clan. With the loss of our support, and the entry of the Usagi Yokai in the group you are hoping to form, then we will openly declare war. Naruto-kun, please rethink about the offer. We might be able to work something out between the Usagi Yokai and the Otsutsuki clan. I can't take back the offer now, I have already sent it to the groups. No, my decision is final. It was your mistake to do it before consulting me. Make your decision wisely, Yasaka. One mistake will be your group's downfall. Kaguya was seated alone in the train compartment taking them to the underworld. Naruto was yet to arrive. Though she would have normally been worried about her son's absence, she trusted her son and Shinji. Shinji was one of the most trusted members of the Otsutsuki clan. He had been with her since the beginning of the clan and was a trusted subordinate and friend. Having him watch over Naruto was one of safest decision for her son, though she wished she could watch over him herself. It was nearly impossible due to her work as the matriarch of the clan. With all the political meetings with the allies, she did not have time to spend with her child as much as she desired. It did not matter, as long as he knew that she cared for him, then it was enough for Kaguya. The compartment door slid open and Naruto walked inside with Shinji and Ho flanking him. The compartment was rather large and could be considered an entire room, due to the devil's wishes for their guests the best service and transportation. Naruto sat down on the seat opposite of his mother, while his two guards flanked the couch where he sat. Kaguya smiled at her son and nodded to him. Her guards were hidden from sight as she did not wish for them to be seen. Not that the two needed any guards, they were capable of defending themselves from any threat, but it was more of a formality for people of high standings to have guards. Know that Naruto cared for such things, the devils did. Being as simple-minded as they were, they valued tradition over anything else, so it would be best to bring guards along. Naruto-kun, when we arrive have a clone take your place. Gather the information that is needed. Kaguya ordered as she took a sip of the tea that the devils had provided in the compartment. Her delicate face sported a slight frown from the taste. Devils, they do not have any sense of taste. This European tea does not compare to traditional Japanese tea. I agree, Kaachan, the taste if just not there. Naruto responded as Shinji brought him his own cup of tea. Taking a sip, Naruto too frowned slightly at the taste. Kaachan, as you know, Yasaka has asked us to help in the combination of all the Yokai branches. Yes, that fox has gotten bold. Asking us to work with those damned Usagi. Kaguya responded as she spat the word Usagi out as if it were venom. In due time those damned Usagi will pay for what they have done to us in the past. The audacity of those damned Usagi. In due time, my son, they shall pay for the attempt on your life. Naruto stayed silent when he heard the last part. It was true the Usagi had attempted to take his life when he was only training in the sealing arts. They had almost succeeded, but Ho had came to his rescue. Ho had managed to distract them until Kaguya came with the rest of the clan. Naruto had never seen his mother so angry before in his life when she unleashed the power of her third eye and incinerated them on the spot. They couldn't even defend themselves against her. It was a complete slaughter. I understand, Kaachan. Naruto responded as he banished the memories to the back of his mind. They will pay. The train slowly came to a stop as the conductor spoke of their arrival to the underworld. Naruto groaned slightly as he got up from the seat. It had been a 1-hour trip and his body was getting tired from the lack of movement. But nonetheless he had made it, and now they were finally getting out of the train. Shinji and Ho led the way as they guided the pair out of the train. The underworld could easily be described as another average city. Like the world above them, they had buildings and all. The only odd thing was the sky was purple. Waiting for them was none other than Seraphil Leviathan. No longer in her magic girl outfit, she was garbed in a black skirt and a long-sleeve buttoned-up green shirt. Welcome, Naruto-kun. Seraphil greeted as she caught sight of Naruto and smiled at him. Kaguya appeared in her line of sight and she continued to smile, but this time it was now a nervous one. Kaguya-sama, it is an honor to see you again. Allow me to be the first one to welcome you to the underworld. Seraphil-san. Naruto greeted with a nod as he and his guards approached her. Leviathan-san. Kagaya acknowledged with a single glance at the devil. Naruto-kun, Kagaya-sama, please follow me, the carriages are ready to lead you to the stadium. Seraph said as she motioned towards the carriages that were present behind her. That raiding game is going to start soon. Naruto and Kagaya allowed Seraph to guide them to their carriage while their guards were led somewhere else by Seraph's subordinates. As they seated themselves in the carriage, Naruto looked out the window as the carriage began to move. The underworld was not really different from the world above aside from the oddly colored sky. The plan would commence once they arrived at the stadium. He had to replace himself with a clone. What was needed here from the underworld was a little bit of one of their Satan's research. Or better yet, Ajuka Beelzebub. Formerly known as Ajuka Astaroth, he took on the name Beelzebub once they had won against the old Satan faction. Ajuka was a genius inventor, and his research would help greatly in what he and Azazel were working on. The ride was silent as Naruto was looking out at the window the entire time. Seraph was quite nervous being so close to Kagaya. Naruto did not blame her. He too would have been nervous around his mother if he had no family relations to her. Kagaya was very intimidating as her pupil-less eyes and unreadable expression, and the best part was she had the power to destroy you with a single glance from her third eye. Hard not to be intimidated by someone like that. Once the carriage pulled up to the entrance of the stadium where the raiding game would take place, Naruto and Kagaya were once more guided away by Seraph. Their guards were beside them as soon as they reached their destination. As the group entered the building, Naruto excused himself to the restroom. Ho and Shinji both stood on guard outside of the restroom, flanking the door and not allowing anyone entry. Naruto, once he got in, sealed off the room with a few silencing seals and produced a scroll from inside his kimono. Unrolling it, he placed his hand on the first seal and pushed chakra into it. A plume of smoke filled the area and soon a few objects appeared. Naruto made a clone and had it wait for his command as he changed, replacing his kimono with a long-sleeve fishnet mesh shirt, and over that a simple long-sleeve black shirt. His sandals were replaced with combat boots as they were one of the most obvious things in his outfit. Grabbing the black cloak he had sealed away, he wrapped it around himself and placed a mask over his face. The mask was a white fox-shaped mask with a few markings. Nodding to his clone, Naruto waited until his clone left, and he too vanished. The general knowledge that their spies had gathered had allowed him to stealthily maneuver past the guards leading to Ajuka's castle. It was rather easy as the guards were lazying around doing nothing of importance. Making his way deeper and deeper into the castle, Naruto finally found the entrance to the laboratory. 2 guards were posted there, as they both seemed relatively bored, so Naruto decided to do what he did best. Using the simple transformation technique, Naruto changed into Ajuka. Walking towards the guards in a relatively bored fashion, they straightened and bowed to him. Ajuka-sama! One of the guards called out as he bowed deeply, "You are back from the raiding game already." "Yes, it was boring, so I decided to come home and work on my new project," Naruto responded as he walked past the guards and into the laboratory. Once inside, Naruto moved to the computer located in the furthest corner of the room. Sitting down, Naruto pulled out a flash drive and began working. He only had a limited amount of time to gather the information, and while he was at it, find the location of Javier Belfagor. "What do you mean I'm in there already?" Ajuka yelled as he glared at the guard before realization dawned on him. "Move. Someone is in my laboratory." The guards were shoved away by the green-haired Satan as he made his way into his laboratory in a mad dash to find the intruder. Upon his arrival, he found a man with a black cloak wrapped around him typing on his computer. Glaring at the man, Ajuka made his way towards him, only stopping to command a few of the guards to stay at the exit to keep the intruder from escaping. "Who are you and why are you in my laboratory?" Ajuka demanded as he continued to glare at the cloaked intruder. Waiting for a response, all he got was a raised finger from the cloaked intruder as he or she continued to type on his computer before stopping and pulling out a flash drive. Turning around, Ajuka caught sight of a fox-like mask the intruder wore. "Very well then, if you are not going to talk," Ajuka said as he channeled his magic and a large magic circle appeared beneath the intruder's feet. Before his magic could take effect, the masked intruder raised both hands and soon they were cloaked in lightning. A bolt of lightning shot from the hands and went straight for Ajuka and his guards. Ajuka's eyes widened slightly as he cancelled his magic and focused on building a shield to protect him and his subordinates from the incoming lightning bolt. That was the chance the masked intruder needed as smoke bombs were dropped and cloaked the room in a layer of smoke blocking all sight of the man. The masked intruder burst into a column of fire. Releasing the shield, Ajuka grit his teeth in frustration as he slammed his hands against the table holding his latest invention. "Guards! Find the intruder and bring whoever it is here," Ajuka ordered. Kagaya was pleased, how could she not? Her son had just gathered the needed information that she had desired. With the information gathered, they would finally decide if the Devil faction was a threat to them or not. Many years of fighting for survival as the exiled group of Hanyu strengthened her and the rest of the clan, and it also made them wary of anyone with unknown intentions. Though she did not believe the Devil faction would try anything against her clan, it was still best to confirm it. Her meeting with the fallen angels had been a success as Azazel had allowed her the use of her third eye to question him. The angel faction was the only one that she did not fully question or investigate, but they were the servants of the biblical God. She would give them the benefit of the doubt for now. The church had provided some aid to them during their exiled stage, so the clan would not question them unless they proved to be a threat. She was currently watching the raiding game. Her son's clone excused itself as it made its way to the bathroom with Shinji and Ho following close behind. Kaguya-sama, what do you think of the raiding games so far? Seraphal asked as she tried to strike up some conversation. Without Naruto here, it was awkward as the matriarch of the Otsutsuki clan spoke little and there was nothing they could speak about. The match is proving to be rather entertaining, Kaguya responded as she spared Seraphal a glance. I am glad you are enjoying the match, Kaguya-sama, Seraphal said as she put on a nervous smile. It was hard to not be nervous around Kaguya. Her pupilless eyes seemed to be staring into her soul. It was not shocking that the woman sitting beside her was considered one of the most powerful beings in existence. What about you, Yasaka-dano? I too am enjoying the match, Seraphal-dano, Yasaka replied as she smiled at the devil she sat beside, though she tried to be friendly with Kaguya, but Kaguya did not seem to have been pleased with what she had asked her son to do earlier. The relationship between the Yokai branch of Kyoto was strained with the Otsutsuki clan now due to her choice of announcing her idea of bringing together all of the Yokai branches under one banner. The clan had no issues with the rest of the Yokai, but it was just the Usagi Yokai that bothered them. If she decided to form the group, then war could be declared. If she did not, then the Usagi Yokai might declare war themselves. Either way, they were facing war. Hokun, I am glad you could meet me, Yasaka said as she smiled at the monkey Yokai before her. Please take a seat. Ho complied and sat down. Naruto had allowed him to meet with Yasaka. Ho knew what the meeting was about. Yasaka was going to ask for his help about the issues she faced. Looking at the nine-tailed fox seated in front of him, Ho decided he should get the meeting started. Yasaka-san, why did you want to meet with me about? Hokun, I cannot meet with a friend without a hidden intention? Yasaka replied as she flashed him another smile. Seeing Ho wasn't even slightly affected by the words, she decided it was time to get to the point. Hokun, as you know, the relationship between the Yokai branch and the Otsutsuki clan are strained. Can you somehow persuade Naruto-kun to accept the offer? I cannot take back the offer that I already sent to the various Yokai groups. No, I will not help you, Ho responded immediately, not even thinking further. Please, Hokun, if you do not, then there could be war, Yasaka pleaded as she looked at the monkey Yokai in front of her with desperation. Don't think of it as helping me, think of it as preventing unnecessary bloodshed. My decision is no. Naruto has stood by me for all these years and he always supported me in any way he could. Ho replied as he stood up and looked down towards the nine-tailed fox with a slight glare. Now I shall do the same for Naruto. If you decide to go to war with us, Yasaka-san, you will face the Otsutsuki clan and the monkey Yokai under my command. Hokun, please. Be logical. Yasaka tried once more to convince Ho to change his mind. Good day, Ho said as he closed the door behind him. Ka-chan, will we actually go to war? Naruto questioned as his gaze fell upon the letter he had received from Seraphal. If the situation calls for it, Kaguya replied simply. The rest of the clan had been informed of the situation, and they were happy to fight. The treatment from the damned Usagi Yokai were not forgotten and they were itching for blood. Depending on Yasaka's decision, it will decide the fate of the Yokai in Kyoto. Either way, the blood of the Usagi will be ours for what they have done to us. Not only for the torment but for their attempt at your life. Naruto did not respond as he broke the seal from the letter and opened it. 2 items came out of the envelope. Grabbing the most obvious one, the letter, Naruto opened it and began reading. Dear Naruto-kun, it was a shame that we could not spend more time together. Next time you come to the underworld, we can spend some time together. Well, that was all I wanted to say. Hope you enjoy the picture. Keep it with you as a reminder of me. Yours truly, Leviathan. Looking at the picture, Naruto's left eye twitched in a bit of annoyance as he saw the image imprinted on the paper. The image was Seraphal dressed in her magic girl outfit blowing kisses towards the camera. What is with that woman? Naruto questioned mentally as he returned the picture and letter into the envelope and shoved it back into his kimono's hidden pocket. It was odd how familiar Seraphal was acting towards him. He knew she was childish, but doing something like this seemed out of hand. Naruto-kun, Kaguya called out, catching him by surprise as he fumbled with the letter. Sorry, Ka-chan. Naruto sheepishly responded as he rubbed the back of his head. Kagaya gave him a stern look before motioning for him to seat himself before her. Following her instructions, Naruto sat and waited for her to speak. As I was saying, the devil faction are not a threat from what I have gathered on the information you have brought back. Kagaya began as her lavender eyes bore into his blue ones. Though their past actions are not spotless, they are still harmless to us. Even if I do not approve of the deaths of the Nakomata, they are not of concern for now. Naruto frowned at the mention of the large number of Nakomata killed by the actions of the devil faction, but Ka-chan, they slaughter innocents. I know, my son, but at the moment our main worry is the Usagi Yokai. The Nakomata were neutral in our struggle in the past, so we shall concern ourselves with this situation once the Usagi are taken care of. Kagaya responded. She left no room for argument as Naruto nodded and relented. You know of the actions the Usagi have done to us in the past, and they shall continue if they are not silenced now. In the past they have tormented and hunted us for things we had no control of, and they continue to do so now. Yasaka has made a foolish decision of trying to gather all the Yokai under a single banner. It does not matter if she makes the correct decision or not. The Usagi shall pay with their blood for their actions in the past. One way or another. Blood. That was all there was in the closely built society of the Usagi Yokai located deep in Mount Fuji. One's blood would determine many things, and especially a place in the system that governed the Yokai residing deep in the mountain. The system of hierarchy was what the founder and leader of the Yokai set up. With the ruling Yokai at the top of the system, and at the bottom was none other than the Hanyu Yokai. Hanyu were filth in the eyes of the pure-blooded Usagi. They were nothing more than simple animals. Hanyos in their eyes were considered to be tainting the blood of the Usagi. Though it was highly irrational, the ruling Yokai or the chief simply allowed it to continue as they shared similar views with the rest of the Usagi. Blood was the key factor in which position one would take due to the system of hierarchy the previous chiefs had set up. Those events led to the downfall of the most powerful family in the group of Usagi Yokai. The Raka family, or better yet the descendant of the original chief. Due to their superiority complex, they had allowed the power and fame gained by their ancestor to simply convince them they were invincible. The Hanyu were not pleased with the mistreatment. For years they had endured, but now there would be a breaking point. It was like a balloon. The more air blown into it, the larger it got, but soon once it reached its limit, the balloon would explode. That was what had happened. The Hanyu band together and rebelled when one of the Raku had used his authority as one of the noble families and taken advantage of a Hanyu taking her maidenhood. Though it was nothing new, anger still burned in the hearts of the Hanyu, being treated like dirt since the establishment of the society had weaved hatred into their hearts. All of their contained hatred from the years of mistreatment had broken out, and it was the driving force in their rebellion. The rebellion shocked the Usagi to a degree they had never expected the Hanyu to rebel, so they were not ready. Result of their negligence and cruel governing, the death count of the Usagi doubled the amount of casualties of Hanyu. Once the rebellion was over, the group of Hanyu escaped from the settlement and made their way out of Mount Fuji. Hatred from the Usagi Yokai had caused the exiled group issues along the way, being hunted by the Usagi for the lives they had taken. Not only that, but having little to no experience with the actual world due to their isolation in the mountain. Years continued as the Usagi finally caught the wandering group of Hanyos, and a battle would rage between the two groups. Being resourceful with their skills and abilities in Jiu-Jitsu, the exiled group managed to escape once more from death, but their leader was killed in the progress. Having to elect a new leader, the choice was anonymous as Kagaya Otsutsuki was elected, taking command. Under her leadership, they would gain a new style of fighting. Fujitsu, the amazing skill, would be the changing factor in their struggle for survival. Though the exiled group of Hanyu were lacking strength, they gained something equally as powerful. Knowledge. Without power in their hands, they found the next best thing, knowledge. This new factor played a major role in their future as Kagaya ordered the members of the group to create a portal. It was something she had thought of when studying the dimensional gap. Success with the creation of a portal allowing them access to a new world, the group bid goodbye to their old world and stepped into a new one. How could they not choose this decision? Their old world hated them, and with the Usagi hunting and tormenting them for their very existence, what Kagaya had ordered and created was like a gift from the heavens. Naruto did not know how to feel about it. His clan's elder generation despised the system of hierarchy along with how the devil faction's ruling body. The idea of valuing blood over all did not sit well with them. Naruto knew it was due to their own past. Pain and hatred still burned brightly in the hearts of the Otsutsuki clan, and he could not blame them. Hearing what his mother has told him of the horrific conditions they had to endure, and the mistreatment from ones with pure blood did not sit well with him. He loved his clan, they were his family. Kagaya had raised him to value family out of everything else, and so hearing how his family was treated in the past made his blood boil. And to add to the hatred that was building in the clan's hearts, they had made an attempt on his life which fueled the fires burning in their hearts. Having a lot on his mind, Naruto decided to train. It was one way to think clearly. Currently he was going through the motions of a kata as his mind wandered on about the upcoming conflict. But that was not only the reason for his training, it was almost time for the ceremony. Naruto-kun, that is enough training for now. A voice stopped him as he stood up straight and turned to face his mother. Kagaya gave her son a nod as she approached him. Though she was no expert, the feeling of uneasiness was evident in Naruto's heart. It was expected. Walking towards her son, she placed a hand on his shoulder, getting him to look at her. Do not worry, my son, you will be a great clan head. I will be by your side along the way, as an acting advisor if you need me. You are not like your brothers. They were foolish enough to trust the savages from the other world. I have raised you to be better than that. That is not the reason for my distress, Kao-chan. Naruto replied as he released a sigh and a slight frown formed on his face. I am just worried about Yasaka. She may have been foolish to do something like this, but she had good intentions. Maybe if we extend a hand to help, she might join our side. Do not be foolish, my son, that is not how I raised you. Kagaya responded as her delicate features shifted into a slight frown. Looking at her son, she could see his loyalty to his friends. Though they were low in numbers, he proved to be willing to protect them with the power he possessed. Yasaka must choose if she joins us or helps the Usagi. You are loyal to your friends, and that is a good thing, my son. But you must know that a leader will do things he or she may not be proud of. For the betterment of their people it must be done. I understand a leader must make decisions for that benefit the majority. But I will not give up. Though she may be foolish, I shall protect her, and Kunu, if I cannot do that, then what clan head will I be? Naruto questioned as he began walking back towards the compound before turning to face Kagaya once more. Besides, you know I will do something rash if it meant I would be protecting the ones I care for. As the Greek demigods possess, you seem to have your own fatal flaw. Your loyalty towards your friends and family will be your downfall, foolish son. I shall crush that flaw if it is the last thing I do. Kagaya thought as she released a sigh, watching her son's retreating figure before he vanished into the compound. She walked in the opposite direction. She was needed elsewhere. The issue involving Naruto would have to wait till later, for now she had to meet with the allies and see if they were willing to participate in the upcoming war. Though with extra help it would heighten their chance of victory, but then again the chances of them losing was practically 0%. No help was needed, but it would be best to lower casualties her clan may suffer in upcoming battles between them and the Usagi. Warfare was a horrible thing. In the eyes of Naruto, nobody won in a war. Both sides lost a piece of themselves when the war would end. Wars seemed like the ideal breeding ground for hatred. Losing one's precious to oneself would bring forth fury from the heart. It was always the same thing. All wars were fought between two sides with hidden intentions. It was expected. After all, the victor gained advantages that outweighed the losses and result of the victory. Nobody was perfect, as shown through the countless wars that were waged between rulers of different countries, and other wars the ancient Greeks waged against the Trojans. The reason for war in Naruto's eyes was petty. Thousands were killed for a single woman. Now it brought him to the topic of possible warfare in this era. His clan would declare war against the Usagi Yokai for the scars dealt to them in the past. He had felt as if he was intruding in something between two people, and it was true. Having not experienced what the elder generation of the clan had been through, he could not judge any of them. Yet he was connected with the situation due to the attempt on his life and simply being born into the Otsutsuki clan. Though he had mixed feelings about their attempt on his life, he did not believe something like that would be enough to convince him to participate in the war. He could not simply not participate either, as it was his duty as the heir of the clan to join in the upcoming battles. It was too late to try and convince the clan to simply stop their preparations for war. They had been whipped into a frenzy and were now calling out for blood of their enemies. It was all too hard. Others would suffer between the clash of the two forces and collateral damage would be high. It was simply a prediction. With the power his clan possessed, it was likely. In the eyes of many, war against the Otsutsuki clan was suicide. Fear was a byproduct of power, yet this factor did not do much to affect the Usagi Yokai as they called for blood. Even if though they stood no chance against the clan that held the position as the most powerful clan, they were still willing to fight. Either it was an extreme amount of arrogance in their combat capabilities, or they had something up their sleeves that would allow them to win against a clan of that caliber. Both possibilities did not sit well with Naruto. Arrogance, he simply hated it in general, but it was the second possibility that he was wary of. If a supernatural group had a weapon or ability of some sort that could endanger a clan as powerful as his was unsettling. That alone would shift the power in favor of a single supernatural group, though it was like that now since the Otsutsuki clan held the title as the most powerful clan. Though they held major influence over weaker supernatural groups, they did not abuse the power. History involving the Usagi Yokai and their leadership capabilities was not so bright, and if one group such as them were given such power and authority, abuse of it would soon follow, repeating what had happened before in the past. Then again, many factors played a role in the outcome, and thus he could not conclude history would repeat itself. Though he did not deem them a threat as of yet, it was still astounding how one supernatural group would be willing to face off against his clan. No matter what he decided, he was going to have to participate in the war. Naruto could be considered naive due to he was simply budding and held no experience in the relation between the two groups. Even so, he wished to resolve this another way. Not that he cared for the Usagi. No, he simply did not, but he cared for the Yokai that would be caught in between their bad blood. That was it. He did not wish to drag no one that was not involved with the issue into something that they had no relations with. And worst of all, Yasaka and Kunu were being caught in it. Though Yasaka was being foolish and allowing her ideals to simply bypass logic and reason, she was still a friend. Naruto knew that Yasaka was doing the right thing in her mind, but it simply backfired. Naruto. Yasaka greeted in a slight nod as she sat behind her desk looking at the new arrival with a blank expression on her face. Though she attempted to simply hide her nervousness. The relations between them had been downhill since her announcement of uniting the Yokai branches. Yasaka knew that Naruto would not be fooled so easily, yet she still tried to hide the nervousness building up. What are you doing here? Last time your clan had cut off all connections with the Kyoto branch. This is a personal meeting. Naruto responded as he stared at Yasaka with an impassive expression. I am not here on behalf of my clan. I am simply here to meet with you and discuss Kunu's and your future. Yasaka, break the agreement with the Yokai. You will not win against our clan, even with forces such as that Kacchan, and I can simply wipe them out with a single technique. I do not wish for either you or Kunu to be hurt. Then please convince your clan that it is best to work under a single banner. Yasaka shouted as her blank expression broke and was replaced by a desperate one. No. Naruto immediately responded as his impassive mask turned into a frown. Shaking his head, Naruto sighed, I cannot, Yasaka. Though I do not know how the elder generation of my clan are feeling, I can understand this must be done. Even if I tried, that would not stop Kacchan from reversing my actions and whip them into a war frenzy once more. You must understand I cannot against my own family, that is why you join us or not at all. You're asking me to simply join you when I have already asked all the surrounding Yokai groups to join under a single leader? Yasaka said to herself as a conflicted look formed on her face. Debating over the issue, she found both pros and cons in both. Her decision had drove a wedge between her and Naruto's relationship and it hurt. But she was the leader putting her. Yasaka shook her head with a forced smile on her face. I have to refuse that offer, Naruto-kun. If I did join, all the trust from the other Yokai would be lost. Not only that, but I cannot simply betray that trust they placed on me. Naruto was silent for some time as he finally released a sigh. Very well then. The next time we meet, pray it is on pleasant terms. You are a friend. I do not wish to have your blood on my hands. Naruto. Goodbye, Yasaka. Naruto taking a walk around the city of Kyoto, clearing his mind as more and more frustration built up inside of his heart. Yasaka was a friend, and if he could help her in any way he would, but if he did it would simply go against his family, which was something he would never do. A frustrated growl escaped his lips as he sent a kick towards the nearest object in his vicinity. His foot impacting against the base of a tree, leaves fluttered downwards from the force behind his kick. As the leaves danced across the calm air, a zephyr passed through and directed the leaves to another direction. Why are you so stubborn, Yasaka? If you had accepted the damned offer, I could protect both you and Kunu from the other Yokai. Naruto thought in frustration as he released another growl and kicked the tree once more. Why must you people be so loud? A voice questioned from his behind. Naruto turned immediately to face the source of the voice, and it surprised him to see who it was. The one who spoke was a cute young girl with long black hair that reached down to her hips and gray eyes and was dressed in a gothic Lolita outfit. The young girl, seeing the slightly surprised look on Naruto's face, spoke, You are surprised by my appearance? Damn it, I let my emotions cloud my mind and someone managed to sneak up on me, not just anyone but her of all people. Naruto thought in frustration as a scowl formed on his face. Reining in his emotions, Naruto took a deep breath and spoke, Yes, I am surprised. Kacchan described your appearance of an old man, not a little girl. Ophis the Ouroboros dragon. Your mother has spoken about my abilities, has she not? The newly named Ophis questioned as she held the emotionless expression on her face, looking at the blonde waiting for an answer. Yes, she has. But what I imagined you to be was an old man. I assume you have changed your appearance since then. Naruto answered as he prepared for the worst. Standing before him was one of the most powerful entities in the entire world. His mother being up there, he was still not her level yet, so in confrontation with Ophis would not end well for him. So he had to play his cards right to avoid and fight. Looking at the emotionless dragon, he decided to continue the conversation. If I may ask, why are you here, Ophis? I am here to give you an invitation. Ophis responded simply. Seeing his curiosity spike, she decided to elaborate. As you see, I am creating a group. This group will help me accomplish my goal and rid my home of Great Red. And what will I get from this? Naruto asked. He would be lying if he said the offer did not interest him. Though a part of him questioned her motives. If she was asking for such a thing, speaking to his mother would have been better, as she was the acting clan head. Either she was trying to convince him to betray his clan, or she had already offered a position in her group to his mother. You will get what you desire most, Ophis said as a snake slithered from her sleeves and onto her hand, visible for the blonde to see. Naruto eyed the snake warily as he thought of the offer before shaking his head in a negative gesture. No, I must decline the offer, but I am curious, what do you believe that I desire most, Ophis? You are a strange one, Ophis commented as she stared at him before she opened her mouth to speak once more. My offer still stands, Naruto. When you make up your mind, come find me and the Cow's Brigade. With those words spoke, Ophis disappeared right before his eyes, leaving him alone with his thoughts. The Cow's Brigade, with Ophis as the leader, then that group would be a danger to us, Naruto thought as his eyes narrowed and he vanished in a swirl of leaves. A teen with pale skin, shaggy white hair, attractive facial features, and 6 Magatama designs tattooed on his collarbone. His eyes were strange as they held enlarged and featureless irides with no pupils. He wore the typical outfit of the Otsutsuki clan. He wore in white, high-collared kimono with a black obi, over which he wears a pale green sash tied to his right shoulder. On the back of his kimono was the crest of the Otsutsuki clan branch family, and yellow crest depicting a sun enclosed in a crescent moon. Beneath the robes he wore black fingerless gloves, long black pants and black shinobi sandals. This was Toneri Otsutsuki, a member of the Otsutsuki clan branch family, and surrogate brother of Naruto Otsutsuki. As a member of the branch family, he kept his eyes due to the new law passed down by Kagaya Otsutsuki as they had traveled back into the world of their origins. His eyes were very common among the members of both families. They were the Byakugan. These eyes allowed them 360-degree field vision, except a small spot at the back of the neck above the first thoracic vertebra. It not only allowed the user 360-degree field vision, but it also allowed them to see through solid objects and allowed them to see the flow of energy through the user. His eyes were dubbed as the Byakugan. Toneri at the moment was moving towards a meeting spot that Naruto had set up with him in Tokyo. They were meeting up for some reason, but Toneri did not question him. They always did something crazy once in a while, and he would be questioning Naruto if they did not do something crazy. Arriving at the address he had been given, the building housed many apartments, and the specific room number that Naruto had given him was at the top level of the building. Knocking on the door, Toneri heard a bit of movement before sounds of locks being removed were audible. After what seemed like minutes, the door opened, revealing someone Toneri knew very well. Standing there was Ho, dressed in his traditional Chinese robes and boots, as the monkey Yokai blinked a few times before gesturing for the white-haired teen to come inside. Once the two entered, they went to the living room of the apartment and sat down on the seats offered. An awkward silence filled the room as the two glanced at each other without speaking a single word. The silence was broken when a swirl of leaves appeared in the room, signaling the arrival of Naruto. Once the leaves stopped and revealed Naruto, the former blonde walked towards the two and plopped himself down beside Toneri. I'm glad you two got here so quickly, Naruto said, quite pleased as he reached into his kimono and pulled out a scroll, tossing it to Ho, who glanced at it for a few seconds before unrolling it on the coffee table. As you both know, our clan is about to declare war on the Usagi Yokai, and I want to stop it before there are unnecessary casualties. Ho looked at his best friend strangely before speaking. Naruto, you know that I will always stand by your side, but how are we going to stop this war? From what I saw, your clan is ready for blood. Not only that, but if we did, we would be going against your mother, and I don't know if you noticed, but she is scary with her freaky eyes. I agree with Ho-san, Naruto and I-san. Toneri voiced his thoughts as he looked at the Otsutsuki clan heir with an unreadable expression. Our clan is ready for the war, and they seem happy for blood of the Usagi Yokai. Naruto and I-san, if you do so, Kagaya-sama would not be pleased with actions to stop the upcoming war. I know, Naruto responded as he got their attention. Placing a hand on the scroll, Naruto pushed a bit of chakra into the seal and a poof of smoke appeared. Accompanying the smoke was a map of the surrounding area. Unfolding the folded map, Naruto laid a finger on Mount Fuji. That is why I simply wished to eliminate the enemy before we could begin amassing our forces and before they complete amassing their forces. Mount Fuji, west of Tokyo, would be one of their potential headquarters, and I wished to destroy the settlement there before the beginning of the war. Naruto, you're crazy. If we destroy the settlement there, then it would simply be an act of war before we have enough time to amass a force to combat their own. Ho said, his voice raised and his face filled with disbelief. Toneri, don't you agree with me that this is a crazy plan? Again, I have to agree with Ho-san, Naruto and I-san. It would not be beneficial for us if we were to attack before we could prepare for war. Toneri tried to reason with his surrogate brother. Yes, you are correct. It would be foolish to simply attack when our forces are not even ready for warfare. Naruto nodded his head in acknowledgement of the reasons the two had spoke about, but we are not going as ourselves. We shall go hidden by a disguise, and for extra security, Toneri shall place us under an illusion. That could work. Ho mumbled as he pondered on the idea. It would be beneficial if they were able to cripple the enemy before the war even began. And the idea Naruto was proposing could be effective. After a few minutes pondering the idea, Ho responded to the proposal with a smile on his face. You know I could use the exercise. I'm up for destroying an enemy settlement. Those conditions favor our side. I shall join you too in your task of destroying the enemy headquarters. Toneri nodded his head in agreement as he turned his head to face Naruto. Good. Naruto said, quite pleased with their decision. Placing his hand on the other seal, Naruto quickly pushed chakra to the 3 other seals and soon 3 masks appeared with the smoke. Grabbing the mask that represented a fox, Naruto held it up for the 3 to see. These are going to hide our identities. I made sure the material used to craft these are very durable and could survive through fire. Once we place the masks on, Toneri will place an illusion over us as he is the best with them out of all 3 of us present. So, how are we going to attack? Ho asked as he grabbed the bird mask, forcing Toneri to get hold of the rat mask. From the stories and information Ka-chan has told me about the original settlement that the Usagi Yokai created. Located deep in Mount Fuji, they created it so there would be no mortals bothering them. The only issue we would face infiltrating their settlement would be sentries posted around the fort that they have erected around the buildings. We could simply incapacitate or eliminate them. It does not matter which you decide to do. Once the sentries are eliminated, we can simply destroy the headquarters then. Using the surprise from our attack, we will go in and out. Do not bother spending any longer than necessary there. The longer we stay, the higher the chance our identities will be revealed. So basically, when we get rid of all the guards, then we can do whatever we want. Ho said as he summarized up the entire operation as a grin spread across his face. Naruto, I have to ask, why bring us along when you can do all of that destroying on your own? To answer your question, I can destroy the base on my own. But I need you for something else I am planning. Naruto responded as he turned to look at Toneri. I need you, Toneri, to scout all of the buildings to find some sort of weapon. Weapon? Toneri questioned. Yes, I have reason to believe that they might have built a weapon that would help them win the war. Naruto answered as his face shifted into a frown. Looking at the map and studying the area around Mount Fuji, Ho and I shall distract them by destroying their base while you, Toneri, look for anything that might be a danger to the clan. Understood. Both of them said in unison. Naruto, Ho, and Toneri were all masked and cloaked under an illusion. They were hidden by the shadows as the 3 approached the fort situated deep in Mount Fuji. The 3 shared a nod as they split up and proceeded with the plan. Naruto created some clones, ordering them to take out the sentries while he stayed behind. It was not long before memories came flooding into his mind when the clones dispelled. Pushing chakra to his eyes, they soon shifted from blue to light purple iris with ripple eye pattern that spread over his eyeball. Slamming his palm onto the ground below him, a large seal appeared and soon a massive plume of smoke followed. The smoke cleared to reveal a massive dog with multiple heads with all brown-colored fur, black covering its mouths, and razor-sharp fangs. Like him, every head had a pair of Rinnegan. Naruto stood on one of the heads as he mentally commanded the beast forward. Breaking through the wall, the dog destroyed buildings with a swing of its paw. Waves of enemy forces poured out of the buildings as they came to combat the source of the destruction. Screams and shouts mixed with the sound of destruction as the massive dog continued on its path of destruction. Naruto watched the action unfold on top of the summon's head. Naruto's instincts kicked in as he leaned to the side to avoid a blast of magic energy. Turning to find the source of it, his eyes caught a group of Usagi Yokai standing on top of a building. Jumping off of his summon's head, Naruto directed himself towards the enemy group. Hopping over rooftops, the former blonde dodged magic blasts as he finally made his way towards the enemies. Meeting heavy resistance, he used seals to shield himself from more attacks. The enemy continued their barrage of magical attacks until Naruto decided it was enough. Forming a few clones, he had them engage the enemy, providing him with time to go on the offensive. His clones were forcefully dispelled, but they had done their job. Naruto punched one of the enemies and kicked him backwards. Naruto then sent a sweeping kick at an approaching enemy, knocking her to the ground. Not allowing her the chance to recover, he punched her with a chakra-powered fist. You got to be careful, I won't always be there to save you. Ho's voice called out towards Naruto as the Otsutsuki heir turned to see Ho standing over a few unconscious Usagi Yokai. Please, I could have taken care of them without your help. Naruto responded as he rolled his eyes. So, is this according to the plan? Ho asked as he turned his gaze towards the massive multi-headed dog on a rampage. Naruto followed his gaze and looked at the destruction with a blank look. I'd be lying if I said things are going according to plan, but beggars can't be choosers, right? Naruto questioned as his eyes caught the sight of a beam of light blue lightning shoot up into the sky. That's Toneri. Looks like he found something of importance. What do we do now? Ho asked as he readied his bow staff and looked towards his masked friend, his curiosity shrouded by his mask. We finished what we started. Naruto replied as he formed a hand sign and the multi-headed dog began multiplying and forming separate bodies with singular heads. Ho, let us rendezvous with Toneri before we continue with the destruction. He may have some useful information from his little scouting trip. Ho nodded as he followed his best friend across the rooftops and towards the origin of the beacon. Taking out enemy forces along the way, the duo managed to reach Toneri, who was standing in between a group of unconscious Usagi Yokai. Nodding to his surrogate brother, Naruto greeted him in kind as the three regrouped, and now were planning their next move. "It seems you did not find a weapon," Naruto observed as he looked at Toneri waiting for an answer. Ho followed his example as he too waited. "Nothing about a weapon. But I did find something that would interest us," Toneri said as he pulled out a sealing scroll and handed it to Naruto, who took it and looked at it curiously before turning his attention to Toneri again. "Inside are maps with some of their bases marked and, more importantly, information about the ceremony for the next leader of the Usagi Yokai." A huge smile formed on Naruto's face as he happily secured the scroll. "That is great. Good job, Toneri. Now we have another advantage. Now let's finish this job before dawn approaches." It was not long before the once proud settlement was reduced to piles of rubble and dust. That was the sight a force of Usagi Yokai arrived to witness. Not a single living was spotted near the destruction. The ones responsible for this was nowhere in sight. It was not only a blow strategically to them, but also it was a blow to their morale. One of their most powerful settlements/bases was wiped out in a single night, leaving nothing but rubble and dust behind. Worst of all, they did not know who or what had done it. "So, what's our next move?" Ho asked as he leaned back against the couch, twirling his mask around as he looked towards Naruto. "How do you guys feel about crashing a party?" "It was the Usagi Yokai," Kaguya said as she looked towards her son with an emotionless mask present on her face. Seeing him lower his head, she decided to continue further. "I knew of your actions the previous night, my son. I am proud you would go so far for friends, but you must understand that family comes first. What you managed to do the previous night has allowed us to gain an advantage towards them, but now war is going to unpreventable. We won the scrimmage, but there were consequences." Naruto kept his head as anger built up in his chest. The more his mother talked about it, the more his anger grew. How could he not? During the scrimmage, a party of 5 members of the Otsutsuki clan were ambushed by a resounding force of 30. They had managed to hold 30 of them off, but they did not win the battle. Losing, they had been branded with the Usagi Yokai's royal crest and left in the forest to rot. That made his anger spike to new levels. How could he not? Among the small group of Otsutsuki clansmen that were injured and left in critical condition was Shinji, his personal bodyguard since as long as he could remember. Now seeing him and 4 other of his clansmen in critical condition fighting for their lives from the injuries they had sustained had made his anger and hatred towards the Usagi Yokai soar to new heights. Not only that, to add insult to injury, they had branded them with their royal crest. Normally he was a calm and collected, thinking before acting, but now his anger and hatred seemed to take control. How could he not? 5 members of his family were fighting for their lives as he stood there. And not only that, but their enemy had branded them as property. Naruto-kun, war is never a pleasant thing. But you must steel yourself and do what is necessary to protect the ones precious to you. No matter what path you walk down, you must protect the ones most precious to you, remember that," Kaguya said as she placed a hand on her son before walking out of the room, leaving him alone with his thoughts. Those bastards, it was not enough to simply defeat them or kill them for that matter. But they had to brand them as well. Branding my clan as property, Naruto thought as his rage clouded his mind. Walking out of the room, Naruto made a beeline towards Toneri's room. He knew that Ho and him were currently there reviewing the information they had gathered. Throwing the door open, the two residing in the room looked at Naruto, who walked into the room and seated himself right in front of the map. Studying the contents, Naruto's mind worked quickly as plans of action formed in his mind. "Naruto and Ai-san, are you doing all right?" Toneri asked as he and Ho shared a look and directed their gaze towards the visibly angered Hanyu. From what they had heard about the attack, 5 members of the clan had been injured and left in critical condition. Information about the brand that was now present in their bodies was not shared among the people. Taking in a deep breath, Naruto calmed his mind and allowed himself to think clearly. Yes, he was angry, but he had to keep himself calm if he was planning on retaliating against the Usagi. A warrior's mind clouded by emotions, no matter how skilled, would fall in battle. He could not allow his emotions to control him. But Naruto swore he would pay them back for what they had done to his clan. Naruto turned to meet Toneri's gaze and spoke in a calm tone. "Yes, I am just angered about what had happened. Let's just continue reviewing this information." Toneri and Ho exchanged another look before sitting down and joining Naruto in his work. The two could understand Naruto's emotions at the moment, for they too would not wish for their family to be in such a condition. Toneri more so due to his relations as an actual member and family member, but he was smart enough to cool his head about, but that did not stop the rage from building in his very heart. Ho was not as angered as the two Otsutsuki, as he held not familial relations with the injured party, but he was angered by the audacity of the Usagi Yokai. The trio worked silently, only conversing when the situation deemed necessary. Mixed emotions filled their hearts as they continued to work, all three questioning if an all-out war against the Usagi was the better solution. Did everything go as planned? A man asked the group of kneeling men and women before him. Of course, Anzoshi-sama. One of them responded as the group continued to kneel before the man. We have done as instructed, and defeated the small scouting party. Good, did you brand those that tarnish our blood? Hi, Anzoshi-sama, your royal seal was branded onto the animals and left for dead in the forest. Excellent, now that should send a message to those other animals. Good work, now you are all dismissed. Prepare for the ceremony. Thank you, Anzoshi-sama. Once the group filed out, the man stood up from his throne and the shadow that once cloaked his face vanished as light descended upon his face, revealing the mystery man's identity. The man was rather handsome, with shoulder-length blue hair, a round face and brown eyes. Standing above average height, the man was dressed in royal purple robes decorated with gems of every kind. A smirk found its way onto his lips as he continued to think of the news he had just received. This man was known as Anzoshi Raku, the last member of the Raku family and descendant of Kazuki Raku, the one who had brought the Usagi together. Anzoshi had similar view as his fellow Usagi, common belief among the Usagi based solely on blood, seeing it as sacred. Being the last member of the Raku family, his blood pure, possibly the purest of all, that alone placed him near the high end of the spectrum. Being seen as a member of the founder's family, expectations for him soared to new heights. That was not the only thing that soared. His ego, already large, seemed to swell when he was placed as an official among his people. How could he not? In a society that valued blood, his blood reigned supreme and thus secured his place among the upper class. Anzoshi was cruel, there was no other way to put it. Though arrogant, his methods were brutal. Even among his people he was a cruel man. Being known to easily kill off an enemy and friend alike for personal gain, loyalty was questioned among his ranks. But due to the culture's value for pure blood, not one Usagi saw fault in his cruelty. Having blood ingrained into their minds as paramount, they were simply dogs following orders from their masters, no mind to think for themselves. Anzoshi knew of the bitterness and resentment towards the Otsutsuki. How could he not? It was spoken of and taught to by the elders. Though Anzoshi had a differing opinion of the Otsutsuki, it was not as pleasant. Majority of the Usagi saw the Otsutsuki as disgraces and merely beings that were defiling their blood. Anzoshi and a few of his followers thought them as mere animals. Beasts without any real intelligence or sapience, lacking a guide to the world, whereas he was that guide. Feeling no need to destroy them, he wished to enslave them as they were far more valuable alive rather than dead. Not only were they powerful in their own right, but the women in the so-called clan were quite beautiful, like they were carved from marble. Such beauty would be tarnished if it held no purpose in the world. Believing himself to be the one to give such a clan purpose, he sent his men to brand their little scouting party to show his intentions to them as a whole. Naruto bit his lip in vexation as he continued to pummel the training dummy into tiny pieces of wood. When he was bothered or had much on his mind, he simply trained to release the built-up stress. In many situations, training cleared his mind a great deal. It was not odd for him to be found training. The pressure of being the son of Kagaya Otsutsuki weighed on his shoulders as many compared him to her in power, wisdom, leadership, and worth. At a young age, he trained a majority of his life, and due to his lack of contact with others, his social skills were lacking a great deal. Being socially stunted, Ho was the one to fill in that gap, as the perverted and trouble-making monkey Yokai tended to bring out another side of the clan heir. Naruto did not know how to interact with individuals, so he was raised in a secluded environment due to multiple reasons. His status as clan heir playing a major role in his activities outside of the clan compound, and also his clan's pride. The Otsutsuki clan held much pride in their status as the most powerful clan in the entire world. Holding such a title allowed their pride to grow, and soon they avoided any people that they deemed unworthy of making their young master's acquaintance. You know, always beating that dummy up isn't going to solve anything, Ho said as he caught Naruto's attention and stopped him from continuing his senseless beating of the dummy. Naruto looked over at Ho and frowned slightly as he got out of his stance and looked over at his best friend. Every time something big happens, I always find you destroying a practice dummy. I mean, come on, what have they done to you? It helps me lose my stress, Naruto replied simply as he got into his stance once more and readied himself to continue his training. Catching Ho frown slightly from the corner of his eye, he got out of his combat stance and returned his gaze to Ho. What are you doing here anyways, Ho? Well, my friend, I shall teach you the greatest way to relieve stress, Ho said as looped his arm around the former blonde's neck and began guiding him away. Naruto frowned a bit but did not struggle as he allowed Ho to guide him to whatever he had planned. Do not worry, my friend. Once this night is over, you shall be relived and enter the ranks of many alike. Naruto had no idea what he was talking about, but his mind still remained suspicious. No doubt Ho was planning something crazy and irrational again, but then again Ho was one of the few that eased his mind when situations like this weighed upon his mind. Looking at Ho once more, Naruto spoke. Ho, where are we going? No need to worry, my friend. When the sun rises once more, you will have seen the light. The glory that we shall see will be etched into your mind, and you shall join our ranks. Ho shouted in enthusiasm as he began guiding Naruto away. His movements quickened as they headed out of the training grounds and towards the front of his clan's compound. Arriving there, a car was parked in front waiting for them. Ho guided him inside and the door closed behind them. Naruto noticed the other passengers inside the car. Seated inside was Toneri and Ho's right-hand man, Wu. Naruto gave them a questioning glance, but they replied with a shrug. Shrugging himself, Naruto got comfy as he waited for the car to move. It wasn't very long before the car pulled out of the clan compound and was on the busy streets of Kyoto. 20 minutes passed, and they seemed to slow, signifying their arrival. Ho tossed 2 blindfolds to the 2 Otsutsuki, and they sent him a questioning look in return. Put them on, it is going to be the biggest surprise you ever had, Ho said with glee. Naruto and Toneri shared a look before putting the blindfolds on. They were tightened around their heads as they felt the car come to a halt, and they were escorted out of the vehicle. Loud music and the cheers of men was audible as they were guided towards the noise. They were halted as the music and cheering seemed to be surrounding them, and that was when Ho spoke. You can take the blindfold off now. Taking it off, Naruto's eyes blinked a few times, adjusting to the light, and he took in his surroundings. Men were all gathered around a stage with a metallic pole attached to the roof, and women only in their underwear were dancing on stage as men cheered and tossed money at them. Naruto's eyebrow began twitching dangerously as an overly annoyed expression formed on his face, and he spoke in a low and very dangerous tone. This is your surprise? Don't you love it? Now you will join our leagues, the League of Perverts, Ho exclaimed. Joy seemed to be leaking from his very words and actions. Ho quickly placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder, guiding his best friend's view of the heavenly place, and speaking in a blissful tone. Isn't it beautiful? The lights, the epee, the women, the epee, the joy. This is the definition of beauty and grace. You and I have very different definitions of beauty and grace then, Ho? Naruto replied, his tone calm, and no emotion seemed to be present on his face. Turning towards his friend, Naruto lifted a fist and slammed it against his head, the twitch still present. I have to ask, what part did you think I would enjoy? That hurt. Ho grumbled as he clutched the top of his head in pain before quickly recovering and directed his figure at Toneri. Come on. Even Toneri likes it, and if your stoic brother likes it, then what's stopping you from liking this beautiful work of art? True to his words, Toneri had a trail of blood escaping from his nose and a perverted grin plastered on his face. His eyes were glued onto the dancing women. Naruto just stared at him in disbelief, and Ho had a beaming smile. Naruto, there is nothing stopping the perverseness in all males, you must accept it. Naruto was just staring at Toneri with disbelief still present on his face. Shock overcame his entire body as he kept staring, and Ho was whispering words of encouragement for him to release his inner pervert. Words were lost to him until he was finally able to form sentences. Don't be foolish. I will not allow myself to fall to such a level. Ho, I am leaving. Come on. A bounty of a pay is there. Join the League of Perverts. Ho shouted as he desperately tried to change his best friend's mind. Ho even has a name for his perverted group. Truly shocking. Toneri of all people was a pervert. Naruto thought in utter disbelief. Making his way outside and removing his friend's hold of his body, he walked out, and soon a cool breeze swept by and brushed past his skin. Seeing the driver opening the door for him, Naruto motioned for him to stay as he took a walk. The night seemed nice enough for a stroll in the dark. It wasn't as if he was in any danger, as not a single soul dared to attack him in fear of his clan's power. Walking through the dark streets of Kyoto, Naruto looked around his surroundings looking for something of interest. This was an entirely new experience for him, so it would be interesting to see what the night had to offer in the city of Kyoto. Much to his joy, only after 10 minutes of walking Naruto came across a ramen stand. Entering the establishment, Naruto ordered a large bowl of miso ramen. Rarely getting the chance to eat his beloved noodles, he would savor it. Though for this moment to occur he had been taken to a strip club and given an invitation to join a society of perverts. There was no normal day with Ho in his life, and he liked the craziness that his best friend brought into his life. No matter what, they would always be friends. That was how deep their bond was and how much loyalty they shared towards each other. Though at times Naruto wished Ho would lose his perverseness. Something of that caliber were to occur, then the end of the world would soon follow. Naruto soon was staring at a large bowl of the heavenly noodles known as ramen, and a rare joyous smile formed on his face as prepared to dig in. As soon as his chopsticks dug into the noodles, someone entered the ramen stand. Though normally Naruto did not care, his instincts went haywire as he stopped his action and readied himself for a fight. The energy signature was not a devil's nor a fallen angel's, so it only left one faction that would visit Japan at a time like this: angels. Placing his chopsticks down, Naruto turned to face the new arrival. His eyes widened slightly as he caught sight of who had entered the ramen stand. Standing before him was an extremely beautiful woman with curly blonde hair, a voluptuous figure garbed in a white dress that showed off her sizable bosom to the world. Racking his mind for a name, Naruto finally came to a conclusion of who the mystery woman was. "What is a seraph doing here in Kyoto?" Naruto asked in genuine curiosity. By all means he was still on guard, and if the angel showed any signs of harm towards him he would take action and deal with her accordingly. But as for now, he was truly curious to see why a high-ranking member of heaven would be doing in Tokyo, and near his clan's territory no less. Whichever way he looked at it, the seraph was suspicious. "You must be Naruto-sama," the beautiful blonde angel said as she bowed towards the seated Hanyu. Naruto studied her for as she continued to hold the bow before righting herself and facing Naruto once more. Naruto tossed some bills onto the counter, as he left his ramen untouched, and made his way outside, before stopping as he turned to face the chef once more, and he cast a spell on the mortal. Having him know of the supernatural world's existence was a horrible idea. Humans, though weak, would be very annoying later on in the future if they found out that beings with unworldly powers lived alongside them without their knowledge of such. A disaster in the making if such information was leaked to the mortals. Nothing would end well for them, though humans were weak enough to be influenced by illusions, so such an issue would not be a major downside, but simply a downside nevertheless. The seraph seemed to follow Naruto out of the ramen stand. The two stood facing each other as Naruto decided to speak. "Again I ask, why are you here in Kyoto, Seraph Gabriel?" "I am glad you know who I am, Naruto-sama." The newly named Gabriel responded with a smile once more and decided to answer the question. "I am here on behalf of heaven to try to solve the issue you and the Usagi Yokai now face without hostilities." "You should have been here before they attacked my people," Naruto replied, voice now laced with a hint of anger. Gabriel did not seem to have been bothered by his tone as she kept smiling, but clearly she was not comfortable with what he had just said. Naruto stared at her for a few minutes and thought before speaking once more. "Gabriel-dano, if you are truly here for peace talks, why seek me out when my mother is the head of the clan?" "The reason for this is simple, Naruto-dano," Gabriel began as she continued to smile at him. Naruto narrowed his eyes, and the growing suspicion in his mind was not going away as she continued to smile before speaking. "You, Naruto-dano, are different from the rest of your clan. You are not blinded by hatred and bloodlust as they are now. You are able to think rationally at the moment, and have been trying to stop the war before it could escalate to a new level." Naruto kept his surprise hidden as his physical features stayed the same, but inside he was quite surprised that a faction was able to gather that much information on him. Either he was getting arrogant, or heaven was quite skilled in that department. Both were not pleasant to him. Deciding to ignore that for now, Naruto gave her a calculative look as he abandoned his previous thoughts in favor of thinking of her words she had spoken. "And what do you believe you could accomplish if you spoke with me about this particular subject? And on top of that, what does heaven gain if they stop this upcoming war?" Gabriel's response came as soon as the last word escaped his mouth. "Naruto-dano, heaven does not wish for innocence in the crossfire, so we will help in preventing the war from escalating and turning Japan into a war zone." Naruto's mind raced as she spoke those words. Japan was a major factor in their intervention or indirect intervention. The only thing that would seem to force them to take action would be the people. Nothing else upon the island nation would really benefit or hurt the angel faction in any way except the people. That must have been the reason Gabriel was here for peace talks. Naruto knew the angel faction were most likely ones to protect the innocents rather than fallen angels and devils, but they were also weakened like the other two factions. Though they were the most likely to help the innocents, they were not free from their demons either. The Holy Sword Project was a dark spot in their past, and that was a few of the examples of what they had done. Even if it was only a few members of the church that had taken part of the project, the angel faction was blamed for it nonetheless. "The people," Naruto spoke as he came to a conclusion. Looking over at Gabriel, Naruto saw that she shifted a bit and confirmed his assumption. "That is the reason you are trying to prevent this upcoming war. You do not wish for your worshippers to get caught in the crossfire. Not the common people, merely your followers." Gabriel did not answer immediately as her happy smile shifted into a sad one, and she replied slowly, "Yes. Michael does not wish for our followers to be hurt in the crossfire. It saddens me that we are not doing it for the innocents that would be caught in the battles as well." "Very well then," Naruto said, catching her attention. "You have an hour. 1 hour to say what you have to say before I do as I desire." "Thank you, Naruto-dano," Gabriel replied with a smile as Naruto gave her a nod in acknowledgement. "Follow me please, Naruto-dano. We shall begin this meeting immediately." "Lead the way," Naruto replied with another nod as Gabriel began guiding him away from the ramen stand. It was rather foolish to allow an enemy to guide him away, but he was never one to pass up an opportunity for his own gain, and if worse came to worse he would be able to fend for himself. It wasn't like they were smart enough to attack him. Even if angels were planning on attacking him, he did have a trump card that few people have faced in the world. Naruto was looking over the files that Toneri had found during their raid against the Usagi. They held very useful information containing information about some of the Usagi's bases around Kyoto and Tokyo. But the information that he prized among all of it was the date of the new head of the Usagi Yokai's coronation. Among others, it was what Naruto believed the key to ending a war. Striking the enemy while they were celebrating would decrease morale drastically. Not only that, but the amount of casualties if the attack was successful would favor the attackers. At the moment, Naruto had a mixture of emotions building in his chest. He felt as if he was at war against himself. One side of him wanted to simply crush the Usagi Yokai for what they had done to his clan and end the war before it even began. Then his other half wished for what Ophis had desired: silence. Looking at the history of supernatural groups and humans alike, war was frequent among both, and though the next generation was supposed to surpass the elder generation and learn from their mistakes, wars did not end. It was like a need for humans and supernatural beings alike to simply shed unnecessary blood to quench the bloodlust hidden among all. His brother had attempted to bring peace to the people residing in the other world, but it ended like every other attempt for peace: failure. Nothing could last against the river of time. Whatever was built could not withstand the might of time. Everything would crumble to dust eventually. No matter who or what built it, nothing lasted. Naruto did not understand why. Why did people try to create something that would not last? It was pointless in the long run. Every failed attempt sparked another. Naruto himself was confused about the decisions of many who would try and change the world for the better, but eventually not only time but simple desire would destroy whatever was created. Humans and supernatural beings alike held one thing in common: greed. Desire ran through the blood of all living creatures. It was a flaw in all living were born with, yet the flaw was what allowed them to thrive. That desire to become something more was what built the foundations that Naruto now lived upon, yet that desire was what caused the pain and suffering the lives of all endured once in their short lives. It was like a cycle which drove men and women alike to success or failure, destruction or salvation. It all depended on how much one desired for the success of his or her dream. That fell well with his situation now. He desired for his clan's salvation, but also the ones closest to him, protection. With one against him, he could not help but feel helpless to do what was necessary, though he was raised for it. His desire to protect was great. His mother had raised him to protect his home and family among all. Nothing was to stop him in his path to protect that, yet the connections and relationships he had made with others had taken a place among his heart. Now he had to choose. It was either family or friend, and his choice would affect the outcome of the situation they were in. Family was not an important thing to him. It was his everything. He had a role to fill. As the heir of his clan and future head, he would need to do what he should have done long ago: declare war upon the Usagi. His actions had caused the injury and shame upon members of his family, and now it was time for him to rectify for his actions. "Are they all gathered, Ho?" Naruto asked as he studied the map laid out before him. Toneri and Ho both stood beside him ready for his commands. Ho simply nodded in reply as his eyes drifted to the map and spoke, "Yes, all the members you have asked for are here, and my men are here as well." "Good. Toneri, does Ka-chan know of our actions?" Naruto directed his question to his surrogate brother, who shook his head in negative. "No, Kage-sama does not know of our actions." Toneri responded verbally as he thought of it once more and spoke, "Naruto and I-san, why did you keep this operation unknown from Kage-sama? We are no longer acting on our own accord and are working with the clan now, not individually, so why?" "Toneri, Ka-chan must not know of our operations yet." Naruto responded, not removing his gaze from the map, and spoke, "Ka-chan does not have to get her hands dirty anymore. This should have been done sooner than now. It was my mistake on allowing them the chance to strike against our family. Now I am going to fix this mess. Besides, I can't rely on Ka-chan forever. I have to take command of the clan eventually." Toneri nodded to his reasons and decided to stay silent as he allowed his surrogate brother to continue studying and planning the strike. Ho mimicked his actions and decided to focus on his part of the operation. His men were stealthier than the Otsutsuki clan members, so they were in charge of infiltration, while Toneri led a portion of the branch family as scouts. Naruto was in charge of the body of the forces. His focus was to strike the important figures and attempt to assassinate the next head. Anzoshi was garbed in a beautiful white kimono with his eyebrows now cut short, and stood before a sea of faces. The ones present in the crowd ranged from supporters to nobles of the Usagi Yokai. Many from the alliance that had formed were present as well. Yasaka the nine-tailed fox stood there dressed in a golden kimono with flowers decorating it. Other leaders of the Yokai aligned with them were present as well. Though Anzoshi did not bother to learn their names, Yasaka seemed to stand out among the others. Waiting for the elder to begin the ceremony, Anzoshi licked his lips in anticipation. He was only a few minutes away from taking command of the Usagi Yokai and finally having the power to declare war against the Otsutsuki. "Anzoshi Raku!" One of the elders spoke. His voice boomed across the hall, silencing all conversation, and gained attention of all. "We the Usagi Yokai see you as fit to become our next head. Through your acts of bravery and courage against our enemies, amazing powers in combat, and most noble of blood among us all, we the Elder Council see you fit to lead. Will you, Anzoshi Raka, take leadership among your kin and lead us into glory and prosperity? I do, Anzoshi replied with bated anticipation as he saw the elder lift the head ornament, and it hovered above his head as the ceremony came to an end. Then, by the power granted by the Elder Council, Anzoshi Raka stand up once more and become R6. Before the elder could finish his sentence, the large golden double doors acting as an entrance to the great hall were knocked out of their hinges and sent flying towards the crowd. The doors were knocked away by a furious Anzoshi as he glared at the area where the doors should have been. Entering from the newly made hole in the wall was Naruto Otsutsuki himself, garbed in his traditional Otsutsuki clan kimono. I see you were about to start, Naruto commented as if the previous action had not occurred, and smiled at the gathered nobles and supports of the Usagi Yokai alike. Seeing the one who was about to be named the next head, Naruto hid his amusement and spread his arms out in an inviting gesture. I have to congratulate you. Today let this day go down in history. On this day gave birth to the leader with the shortest reign, and the destruction of the Usagi Yokai. Bring me his head, Anzoshi screamed, his face and tone filled with fury. Directing his finger at Naruto, Anzoshi glared at him. His look was filled with so much hatred that it seemed as if he was the embodiment of hatred. Men charged towards Naruto with weapons raised and ready to remove his head from his body. Before they could even reach him, Kanji appeared in front of them and stopped them from moving and held them in place. Confusion rose among the ranks and crowd watching, but the unasked question is answered when a group of men dressed in traditional Otsutsuki clothing rushed into the room and surrounded Naruto and formed a protective stance around him, shielding him from any possible harm. Don't allow these animals to touch Naruto-sama, one of the unnamed Otsutsuki clan members shouted as he brought attention upon himself, and the rest of the clan members readied themselves and prepared to defend their next patriarch from any harm that would come to him. Kill those half-blood disgraces, one guard shouted as his blade was raised, and his men followed his example, and they shouted with excitement laced in their voices. Charging forward, Naruto's men followed their example, and soon two forces clashed and weapons and attacks were exchanged, resulting in damages between both forces, though it was clear the Otsutsuki were more skilled and powerful as they were pushing back the Usagi with ease. The clash resulted in chaos among all individuals present in the ceremonial hall. Naruto stood there protected by his personal guards as they kept enemies from touching him as he watched the chaos unfold. Naruto lifted his head and he made eye contact with Anzoshi, and the two stared at each other. A silent message passed. Naruto narrowed his eyes and waved his hand, commanding his guards to participate in the battle and assist their kinsmen. Rushing forward, Naruto hopped into the air and landed in between a group of enemies. They tried to attack him, but before they could even land a blow or even touch him, they were taken down by his kinsmen, keeping them from making contact with him. Anzoshi ignored the elder's shouts of rage as he rushed forward to meet Naruto in combat. Having his ceremony ruined, he was now enraged by the blonde, and he would have his blood for doing such a thing. Though angry that his men allowed the invitation to fall in enemy hands, it was nothing compared to the rage he felt towards Naruto and his men that crashed his ceremony. I will make you regret ruining my ceremony. Otsutsuki blood will paint the floor where you stand, Anzoshi thought with glee as he charged forward. Otsutsuki! Anzoshi shouted as he sent his fist forward, hoping to land a blow on Naruto. Usagi! Naruto responded, his voice no different from his enemies, sending a punch to meet Anzoshi's. Naruto clashed against his enemies. The clash held and they pushed for dominance, either side seemingly giving up upon the struggle. Naruto saw Anzoshi's attempt on landing a hit on him with his free hand, but Naruto raised his free hand and blocked the incoming punch. Naruto sent his head forward in hopes of headbutting Anzoshi. Both of them seemed to have the same idea as they both sent their heads forward. Foreheads clashed and they sent each other glares and looks of hatred. A trail of blood leaked down from the spot where their heads clashed, and they held that position for a little longer before Naruto released both his hands and allowed Anzoshi's fist to fly by him as he leaned his head to the side. Sending a chakra-powered kick towards Anzoshi, Naruto held the advantage and sent him flying back. Utilizing this opportunity, Naruto went through a series of hand seals and needed chakra in his lungs to form fire chakra.